Chapter 1995. Good, good, good. After receiving confirmation from the upper echelons of Sanskrit, the Sanskrit patriarch laughed coldly. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Then, he staggered and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. The blood essence of the Sanskrit patriarch, who was close to the level of a region master, exploded and penetrated the body of the Sanskrit expert in front of him. He was severely injured. The upper echelons of Sanskrit knew that their patriarch was in a frenzy. They were all trembling. A long time later, the Sanskrit patriarch asked coldly, "Did you find anything?" A Sanskrit expert hesitated for a moment before saying, "A total of 111 people entered the Sanskrit sacred pond. Only Goddess Luo is an outsider. The rest are from the Brahma heaven god realm. Also, this woman's strength is extraordinary. Only she." The meaning of his words couldn't be clearer. He was suspicious of Goddess Luo. Goddess Luo is a peerless genius of a supreme god race in the ancient god realm. She came to the Brahma heaven god realm with the permission of the ancient god realm's Sanskrit. Logically speaking, she shouldn't have done anything to us. Lord Primogenitor is the key to our race's domination. Now that she has been taken away, this is a matter of great importance. This seat will report to the Sanskrit of the ancient god realm. If it really is Goddess Luo, no matter who she is, she won't be able to escape death," the Sanskrit patriarch said murderously. He had completely lost the demeanor of a peerless expert of the ancient race. Sanskrit's loss this time was simply too great. The Sanskrit primogenitor was a drop of blood essence that the Sanskrit had spent a lot of time and resources to nurture to its current level. Once it was successfully nurtured, it would become the Brahmin race's greatest reliance in dominating the universe. Now that the primogenitor was gone, it would be useless even if the space of the Sanskrit sacred pond was repaired. Sanskrit had lost a sacred cultivation ground. What pained the Sanskrit patriarch the most was the 100 over Sanskrit geniuses. Fan Hao, Fan Yi, and the other Brahma heaven god princes are all peerless talents. In the upcoming Star Area God Princes competition, they will definitely be able to shine with peerless brilliance and show off the divine might of the Brahma clan. In the future, they will become the pillars of our clan. More than 100 peerless geniuses. The Sanskrit patriarch roared angrily. "If I find out who they are, I swear," at this moment. Another commotion broke out in the Brahma Saint Tower as countless members of the Sanskrit race flew out from the Brahma Saint Tower. One of Shinja Tianjuan's doppelgangers was also mixed in the crowd with a look of bewilderment. The Sanskrit chief raised his eyebrows in anger. What happened this time? A Sanskrit expert flew out from the crowd. "Patriarch, something bad has happened. A large group of assassins have sneaked into the Brahma Saint Tower and are taking advantage of the chaos to assassinate our Sanskrit race. The entire Brahma Saint Tower is in chaos. What are you panicking for? Do you think our supreme Sanskrit race will be annihilated by a few assassins?" The Sanskrit patriarch roared angrily, causing the entire master world to shake. The domineering aura of a peerless expert was fully displayed. The crowd that had rushed out from the Brahma Saint Tower immediately quietened down. "Seal the Brahma Saint Tower. Don't let anyone escape." The Sanskrit patriarch struck out a seal. After a series of loud rumbles, the entire Brahma Saint Tower was sealed. Those Sanskrit race members that had escaped from the Brahma Saint Tower did not dare to move. However, a large group of them took advantage of the chaos to leave the Brahma Saint Tower and escape to the god capital of the Master World. The Sanskrit patriarch investigated and finally understood what had happened. It turned out that the collapse of the Brahma Saint Pond's world caused the Brahma Saint Tower to tremble violently. The Sanskrit race members living in the Brahma Saint Tower had never experienced such a thing before. At this time, a few Sanskrit experts suddenly revealed a sinister expression and killed the people around them. Some of them were their best friends, Some were the most trusted subordinates of the Sanskrit race members, and some were even father and son. They did not hesitate to use the most vicious methods to attack. In the blink of an eye, the same thing happened in the 600th level of the Brahma Saint Tower. At the same time, a rumor spread rapidly in the Brahma Saint Tower. It was said that the Brahma Saint Tower had been breached by other races and the Patriarch and the upper echelon of the Brahma Saint Tower had been killed. As a result, the entire Brahma Saint Tower fell into a state of panic. Everyone felt that they were in danger and started to flee. After the investigation, the Sanskrit Patriarch and the upper echelon of the Brahma Saint Pond were enraged. Naturally, they linked it to the incident in the Brahma Saint Pond. In the end, the upper echelon and the big shots investigated layer by layer and found that many of the assassins were Sanskrit race members. The chaos this time caused many Sanskrit race members to die. However, there were not many true experts who died. The loss was still within the acceptable range. The other loss was that the prisoners imprisoned in the 18th level of the Brahma Saint Tower had all escaped. The Sanskrit race members who were guarding the prison were either killed or disappeared. These prisoners were nothing to the Sanskrit. The upper echelon of the Sanskrit race did not take it to heart. The news reached Shinja Tianjun. Shinja Tianjun was ordered by the upper echelon of the Sanskrit race. His main body was in the Great World and he controlled the Great World's heavenly Tao. The one that was left in the Brahma Saint Tower was his clone. He faintly felt that something was wrong. Xian Lingzi also escaped. Could it be? He immediately dispelled this ridiculous idea. Even if Su Fang wanted to save Xian Lingzi, there is no way he could sneak into the Brahma Saint Tower, let alone create such a big mess. We can't let Xian Lingzi escape like this. Heavenly Lord Shinja immediately issued a decree, asking the Brahma race to focus on capturing Xian Lingzi while pursuing the escaped prisoners. Su Fang was carried by the heaven-piercing flying rainbow shuttle. When he appeared again, he was already in the desolate galaxy at the edge of the Brahma heaven god realm. Su Fang hurriedly released Qin Yu and swallowed him into his stomach. Then, he roamed the void and finally entered a plane of the god realm. In the depths of a desolate mountain. The moment Qin Yu landed, he immediately sensed the surroundings. Other than a few ordinary big goblin, there were no other gods or powerful big goblin. Therefore, Qin Yu released a wave of demonic energy and let out a roar. The big goblin, birds, and beasts within a radius of several hundred kilometers were shocked and fled the area. Qin Yu transformed into the appearance of the middle-aged man in green before releasing Su Fang. This time, Su Fang first used the Origin Sacred Mirror and then used the heaven-piercing flying rainbow shuttle to escape the Brahma Saint Tower. The consumption was very serious, to the point that his inner world and divine palace were almost dry. Su Fang quickly swallowed the diluted spirit liquid of the creation saint pill. He did not lack any resources, so it was naturally easy for him to recover. Su Fang, give me some of your pills and blood crystals. I am about to break through. Qin Yu had already reached the peak of the 9th heaven of Heaven God Realm. He had obtained countless resources from Su Fang. Especially this time, he swallowed a lot of blood energy in the Brahma Saint Pond. If he did not suppress it, he would have broken through in the Brahma Saint Pond. Brother Qin Yu, congratulations. Here. Su Fang took out a bottle of spirit liquid diluted with the creation saint pill, as well as over a dozen blood crystals. These blood crystals were condensed from the 4 Sanskrit geniuses that Su Fang had swallowed in the Brahma Saint Pond. He hadn't completely fused them together, and had condensed them with the power of yin and yang. Qin Yu rolled up his sleeves and put away the spirit liquid and blood crystals. Then, he flew towards a nearby mountain valley. Su Fang released the soulless expert gray-clothed man, as well as Gue Gue and the dead monarch. He had them hide nearby to protect him. Gue Gue had swallowed a great deal of blood energy in the Brahma Saint Pond. At this time, his strength had reached an astonishing height. Su Fang estimated that he could even crush a middle god emperor. His poison was a fatal threat to even higher god emperors. As for the dead monarch, he was a resurrected powerhouse. The more life energy he swallowed, the more powerful he would become. Moreover, he had not broken through any shackles, nor did he experience any divine tribulation. During these years by Su Fang's side, Su Fang was worried that the fact that he had resurrected powerhouses as subordinates would be exposed. It would lead to countless troubles, so he rarely let the dead monarch take action. However, this didn't mean that he wasn't strong enough. At this time, the dead monarch had already broken through to the God-Emperor realm. He was almost at the third heavenly layer of the God-Emperor realm. Zhu Yan, Yu Miaomei, and Zizhan were also released by Su Fang. Since the three of them had swallowed the Chaos Dao fruit, their cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. This time, they had also obtained the fortune of the Brahma Saint Pond and had reached the state of deity. Su Fang looked at Zhu Yan. Although you are only my registered disciple, I have always treated you as a disciple. When you become a deity, I will choose a sect for you to join. Your future achievements will all depend on your own effort. Zhu Yan kowtowed respectfully. Yes, yes, master. Ever since Yu Miaomei woke up from her serious injuries, she had recovered her memories from when she was a weapon spirit. She had been depressed and only showed her mischievous side when she was with Bai Ling. Su Fang had always treated her like a little sister. Now that she was like this, Su Fang's heart ached. However, he couldn't think of any good ideas. He could only hope that she would grow up quickly and break free from the shackles of the past. Zizhan, it has been hard on you to protect Master all these years. I hope that you can improve your strength as soon as possible. Once Master recovers, you can continue to serve Master. Zizhan had been guarding Shu Yunkong for so many years. This loyalty touched Su Fang, so he took good care of her. Shu Yunkong had always been Su Fang's sore point. With his current strength, he couldn't do anything. Even Shu Wanjin couldn't do anything about it. They could only wait until they had enough strength and cultivated the Tao of time to the extreme before trying to help him recover. He gave the three of them some pills, spiritual items, and resources, including godhoods that were already prepared for them. Then, he asked them to find a place to break through to the deity realm. The dozens of experts that he had subdued in the Chaos Ruins, as well as the Sunflower Water Mermaid and Fire Lizard, were all released by Su Fang. In this way, all the big goblin and experts around Su Fang, except for Long Niao, began to break through to a higher level. This time, it would be a collective improvement. Just as Su Fang was about to settle down and focus on recovering, Law's anxious voice came from the depths of his body. "Kid, let me out. I am about to succeed in forming a physical body." Chapter 1996. Law, you're about to succeed in condensing a physical body? Su Fang was both shocked and pleasantly surprised. Whoosh, Law flew out of Su Fang's body, bringing with him a thick blood energy. He was no longer in the form of an origin spirit, but was now covered in bright red blood, exuding an astonishing aura of life and a strong aura of slaughter. It was both strange and incomparably evil. "Kid, I'll tell you after condensing a physical body. Remember to stand guard for me and don't let me be disturbed." Law carefully exhorted a few words, turned into a bloody light, and flew to the ridge of a mountain peak with a whoosh. Even Law is about to condense a physical body. This time, it can be said that good things are happening one after another. This was the opportunity and fortune exchanged for by venturing into Sanskrit. Su Fang's harvest was far more than this. The primogeniture of Sanskrit had been swallowed by the Origin Sacred Mirror and was now sealed in a mysterious space. In addition, Su Fang had also absorbed a large amount of blood energy containing high-level life force, as well as blood particles containing the embryos of the heavenly Tao. It was difficult to fuse them together, so he sealed them all in his inner world. Just these gains alone would take Su Fang a long time to completely digest them. After they were all converted into strength, Su Fong would rise to an unimaginable level. His friends and subordinates would rise with him. In the cruel universe, he finally possessed great strength, which filled Su Fong with a sense of accomplishment. Let's recover to peak condition first. With great joy, Su Fong entered the time cave abode and settled into a state of cultivation. At the same time, he also divided his origin spirit consciousness to pay attention to Law, the other big goblin, and his subordinate. He estimated that it would take a long time for this collective improvement to end. In the time cave abode, Su Fong formed a seal and shattered his physical body layer by layer, turning it into a pool of blood. Unknowingly, Su Fong had swallowed a large number of middle-grade pills, as well as the spirit liquid diluted from the creation sacred pill, and the bodies of the 4 Sanskrit geniuses that had not been completely fused. Soon, Su Fong had recovered to the 7th or 8th layer. While continuing to cultivate, he condensed a physical body Su Fong from the pool of blood. Ancestor of Sanskrit. Su Fong's eyes suddenly became extremely hot. He grabbed with his right hand and the primordial chaos saint appeared in his right hand. As the yin-yang godly power was released, a layer of ripples appeared on the surface of the origin sacred mirror. A fist-sized red bead appeared. It looked a bit like a pill, but it didn't have the fragrance of a pill. Instead, it was a kind of energy. It was full of abundant and mysterious primordial yang qi. The heart had been nurtured with the blood essence of Sanskrit's ancestor and had devoured 100 Sanskrit geniuses, including a piece of Sanskrit's ancestor's bone. The crimson bead refined by the origin sacred mirror was not only a dozen times larger than the one refined to suppress the blood river lord, but the origin yang qi it contained was also 100 times purer and 1,000 times purer. The primogenitor of Sanskrit, who was even more powerful than a realm lord of a great realm, couldn't even withstand a single blow from the origin sacred mirror. The origin sacred mirror's power is truly heaven-defying. Even Su Fong himself was afraid of the origin sacred mirror. Killing the Sanskrit ancestor had only used a portion of the origin sacred mirror's power. How powerful would it be when it reached the 7th transformation? Su Fong was filled with anticipation. Su Fong estimated that if the 9 transformations reached perfection and the power of this supreme divine artifact was fully unleashed, even the most powerful experts in the universe would be suppressed. I'll call this bead the origin bead. I'll recover to peak condition first before cultivating with the origin bead. Su Fong continued to settle in the Yellow Springs Blood Sea, devouring pills and fusing with the bodies of the 4 Sanskrit geniuses to recover to peak condition. Time flew. More than 50 years had passed. Yu Miaomei, Zhu Yan, and Zi Fan had successively ushered in the primordial divine tribulation and successfully ascended to the divine realm. Then, the dozen or so experts under him also broke through. Some ascended a small step, while most ascended to the divine emperor realm. Bai Ling, Fire Lizard, and the Sunflower Water Mermaid also ushered in new breakthroughs. Over the years, the tribulation fire in this area had been incessant, and the divine tribulation was also incessantly rumbling and shaking in all directions. Such a large commotion that had lasted for such a long time had finally attracted the attention of the experts of the divine realm. More and more gods came to investigate. Solus and the gray-robed man was a 5th heaven divine emperor expert. When he saw that someone had come, he immediately released the shocking aura of a middle divine emperor, forming a deterrent force that frightened people away. There was no need for Gui Gui and the King of the Dead to act. However, the commotion caused by Qingyu's breakthrough was so great that it finally alarmed the experts of the divine realm. One had to know that a divine emperor big goblin and an extremely rare demon rock was worth a lot in the universe. If they could subdue it, it would be equivalent to having another peerless expert. They could sell it directly to Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce for a high price. Among the experts who were attracted by Qingyu's tribulation, there were many middle divine emperors and lower divine emperors. The middle divine emperors were intimidated by the gray-robed man's strength. At the same time, they were also worried about the forces behind Qingyu. For the time being, they did not dare to act rashly. Instead, they watched from afar, waiting for an opportunity. More and more people gathered. There were more than 300 divine emperors, but most of them were lower divine emperors. There were more than 2,000 divine emperors below the divine emperor realm. Most of them were gods from this small world, but there were also experts from the Chamber of Commerce. When Qingyu was about to succeed in the tribulation, someone finally could not hold back and flew over. "May I ask which divine realm you are from? I have a mount and I am very interested in this demon rock. Would you be willing to part with it?" A sixth heaven divine emperor expert cupped his fist and asked the gray-robed man. As for the other subordinates of Su Fang, he did not care at all. "Retreat 1,000 miles away, or I will kill you," the gray-robed man shouted coldly. "Why do you keep people 1,000 miles away? Get lost if you don't want to die. How dare you be so rude in front of me?" The middle divine emperor finally tore off his hypocritical mask and attacked the gray-robed man. Whoosh! Whoosh! Everyone scrambled to be the first to swarm over. "Kill them all!" Su Fang's voice was filled with killing intent. Whoosh! 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 The gray-robed man, Gui Gui, Renjun, Bai Ling, Fire Lizard, and the Sunflower Water Mermaid, who had just recovered from their breakthroughs, rushed out before Su Fang finished speaking. Suddenly, an earth-shattering battle took place in the sky. It was not a battle, but a massacre. Su Fang's subordinates carried out a bloody massacre on the experts who were driven by greed. Bai Ling, Gui Gui, and Renjun, which one of them did not have powerful skills. The Fire Lizard and the Sunflower Water Mermaid were also very extraordinary. After Gui Gui killed the middle-level God Emperor by surprise with her poison, Bai Ling activated the Chaos Ring and killed another middle-level God Emperor, as well as a large number of experts around him. The others were no longer a threat, so it was a one-sided situation. In less than an hour, the sky became empty, and the gods of the little realm were either dead or running away. Su Fang appeared from the cavern of time and space. Bai Ling and the others flew to his side, and they were all very excited. "Too weak. I can't kill them to my heart's content at all." Bai Ling transformed into a young girl again, chattering non-stop. Gui Gui devoured many experts, and as if she was full, she kept burping. Fire Lizard and the Sunflower Water Mermaid also turned into their human forms and looked very excited. With their aptitude, they might not reach the Divine Emperor realm even if they cultivated for millions of years. They had been subdued by Su Fang for only a short time, and now they had the amazing strength to kill Divine Emperors. How could they not be excited? "I'm afraid it's a little troublesome. Go back to my inner world." Su Fang looked at Law, who was condensing his body, and there was a worried look in his eyes. It would not be long before the real experts arrived, and at that time, it would not be so easy to deal with them. Moreover, this place was under the influence of the Brahma heaven god realm. If the higher-ups of the Sanskrit were to be alarmed, it would be very troublesome. Law was at a critical moment in condensing his divine body, and he could not be disturbed. Su Fang asked Bai Ling and Gui Gui to guard Qingyu and put the rest of his subordinates into his inner world. He flew to a high mountain and sat down, cultivating while waiting for trouble to come. More than a month later. "Which power do you belong to? Why are you killing so many in the Supreme Sanskrit's territory?" A figure flew over from the sky. It was an old man with a dignified aura and a domineering aura. His cultivation was at the 8th heaven of the Divine Emperor realm, and he should not be the realm master of this little realm, but the Great Elder. "I don't want to kill anyone. Leave this place." Su Fang sat on the mountain peak and did not move. The old man said majestically, "You have killed so many people. If you don't tell me your identity and give me an explanation, I will make you pay with your blood today." Su Fang sighed helplessly, stood up and stepped into the air. Then I'll give you an explanation. Boom, boom, boom. The old man struck out with a seal, and the power of nature from all directions surged over, transforming into a 1,000-meter-tall mountain peak. It carried with it a terrifying might that could suppress the heavens and the earth, and it was about to crush down on Su Fang. Die! Su Fang spread his hands, and black and white energy intertwined to form an arrow of time. It penetrated the mountain and hit the old man's divine body. ZZZT ZZZT ZZZT. The terrifying power of time and space exploded on the old man's body. In just 5 short breaths, the old man's divine body was turned to ashes by the power of time. The mountain in the air gradually dissipated before it could fully condense. In order to end the battle, Su Fang used the great Tao of time, and killed the 8th heaven of the divine Emperor Realm Cultivator with one blow. It was a clean and easy kill. Su Fang's face turned to that of a 15 or 16-year-old, and his cultivation fell to the 1st heaven of the divine Emperor Realm. He looked at the void in the distance. Chapter 1997. He's only at the 3rd heaven of the divine Emperor Realm, but he managed to sense my presence. Who is he? A middle-aged man emerged from the void and stopped hiding his presence. He was a peak 9th heaven divine Emperor Realm expert, and his aura had merged with the world around him. He was the realm master of this little realm. The middle-aged man looked at Su Fang in shock and confusion. This child has mastered the great Tao of time. Could he be from the Ji clan? No, he should be Su Fang, the #1 godchild of the Star Billow Star Realm that Lord Xinjia Tianjun wants to suppress. News of Su Fang becoming the #1 godchild of the Star Billow God Realm and his name on the Primal Chaos Golden ranking had spread far and wide. Coupled with the conflict between Heavenly Monarch Xinjia and Su Fang, the experts of the Brahma Heaven God Realm had also heard about it. It wasn't strange that the middle-aged man recognized Su Fang from the great Tao of time that he used just now. If I can suppress him, it will be a great merit. I'll definitely gain Lord Xinjia Tianjuan's favor. The middle-aged man's eyes lit up as he prepared to attack Su Fang. However, the middle-aged man's expression changed when he sensed Su Fang's rapidly recovering life force and saw Luo reforming his body on the mountain ridge. What a shocking recovery speed! Azura God Race. I didn't think that Su Fang would have an Azura God Race expert by his side. The Azura God Race's divine abilities are powerful, strange, and murderous. Provoking them will bring a great disaster. Moreover, rumor has it that Su Fang is ranked on the Chaos Golden ranking and is protected by the supreme existences of the universe. Even Lord Xinjia couldn't kill him, let alone me. It's better to hand this hot potato over to Lord Xinjia. The middle-aged man's mind raced as he changed his mind. In his eyes, Su Fang was no longer a great merit, but a hot potato. After thinking for a while, the middle-aged man disappeared into the void. Brahma Saint Tower. Almost 100 years had passed, and the Brahma Saint Tower had regained its peace. The assassins who caused the chaos in Sanskrit had been completely eliminated. However, they couldn't find any clues about the destruction of the Brahma Sacred Pond. Thus, the Brahma Sacred Tower was currently heavily guarded. The Brahma race, who were usually arrogant, had all become cautious after this lesson. They had lost their arrogance and domineering attitude. An old Sanskrit man flew out of the Brahma Saint Tower's 700th floor. It's about time to leave Sanskrit and reunite with this sovereign. Black profound light flashed in the old man's eyes as he turned toward the Buddhist sacred tower. A cold smile appeared on his face as he sped toward the Master Realm's divine capital. The Sanskrit old's second nascent soul was to Luo's second nascent soul. It turned out that the second primordial spirit had taken advantage of the Brahma Saint Pond's destruction and the Brahma Saint Tower's turbulence to order the Brahma race's experts under his control to assassinate and create even more chaos. He possessed a Sanskrit expert and saved Xian Lingzi from the 18th floor's prison. Then, he escaped from the Brahma Saint Tower. But Sanskrit had sealed all of the Brahma heaven god realm's realm-crossing stargates and spatial formations. His second nascent soul couldn't even leave the Brahma heaven god realm's main realm with Xianlingzi. The more dangerous a place was, the safer it was. Su Fang returned to the Brahma Saint Tower and hid. Almost all of the Brahma experts that Su Fang's second primordial spirit had controlled had been discovered and eliminated by the Brahma race. Su Fang, on the other hand, had relied on his powerful primordial spirit power and Night Demon's primordial spirit divine ability to easily evade detection. Xian Lingzi was placed in his internal space and was also safe and sound. The old man Su Fang possessed was a steward in charge of handling the affairs of the Brahma heaven god realm's small realms. Just now, Sanskrit received a request for help from a small realm. It said that Su Fang had been found. Su Fang's second nascent soul happened to be on duty. He suppressed the news and immediately left the Brahma Saint Tower. He went through the realm-crossing stargates and went to the small realm to meet up with his main body. Half a month later, the realm master of the small realm didn't see any Sanskrit experts coming, so he sent another message to Sanskrit. Sanskrit's upper echelons only learned of this news. However, the upper echelons of Sanskrit had a headache on how to deal with Su Fang. With the protection of the Primal Chaos Golden ranking, Sanskrit didn't dare to kill Su Fang in public. However, Su Fang openly appeared in the Brahma heaven god realm's territory and killed people. It was undoubtedly a contempt and provocation to Sanskrit. Sanskrit couldn't ignore it. Sanskrit had just suffered a heavy loss, and countless forces were gloating. At this time, a divine emperor realm genius was allowed to be arrogant in the Brahma heaven god realm. Sanskrit absolutely couldn't allow this to happen. In the end, Shinja Tianjun stepped forward and accepted the order. His avatar left in the Brahma Saint Tower went straight to the small realm. Su Fang, who was sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak, suddenly shuddered. Then, an ear-piercing sound of tribulation energy came out of his body and turned into wildly burning tribulation fire. He broke through at a time like this? Whether it was the true God realm, the heavenly God realm, or the divine emperor realm, there was a small gap between the third and fourth heavens. If one wanted to break through, they had to spend several times more effort and time than other realms. How long had it been since Su Fang became a third-level divine emperor realm genius? Su Fang was surprised that he had reached the peak of the third heavens in such a short time. However, when he thought about it carefully, it all made sense. After Su Fang reached the third heavens in the Brahma Saint Pond, he devoured and merged with countless blood energy and blood particles. The blood energy of Sanskrit's progenitor contained the life power of the blood essence of the transcendence. And in the blood particles, there was a weak primal chaos energy and the embryonic form of the heavenly Tao. The primal chaos energy was the essence of the universe that surpassed the natural aura of heaven and earth and the power of the world. Even in the prehistoric inflammation, there was no such high-grade aura. In addition, Su Fang had cultivated the universe in his body and had a primal chaos godhead. His cultivation of the great Tao of heaven and earth was far higher than his current cultivation. After absorbing so much energy, his realm was enough, and he had broken through so quickly, it was natural that success was achieved. However, now was not the time to break through. Law's body had not been successfully condensed. If the experts of Sanskrit came, it would be quite bad. However, with his breakthrough imminent, Su Fang could do nothing. Fortunately, Qingyu had completed his breakthrough at this time, and with the help of pills and blood crystals, he had recovered a lot. So Qingyu, Bai Ling, and Gui Gui all came to the mountain peak to guard Su Fang. Su Fang activated the Nine Suns' divine fire, and together with the tribulation fire, they quickly turned into a sea of fire, causing Su Fang to turn into a man of fire in an instant. The impurities in the placenta seeped out of his body and were burned by the tribulation fire, immediately turning into ashes. There were not many impurities in the placenta, mainly because Su Fang had used the Brahma Saint heavenly melody to refine his divine body in the Brahma Saint pond, causing Su Fang's divine body to transform further, making it stronger, more perfect, and more profound. The breakthrough power of the fourth heaven of the divine emperor realm had a negligible effect on the cleansing of the divine body. However, the divine dwellings underwent an astonishing change. The vortex of stars in the center spun wildly, 10 times faster than before, causing the entire divine dwellings to spiral and turn into a vortex state. Just as Su Fang was at the critical moment of his breakthrough. The realm lord of a small world had been secretly spying on him all along. Seeing the astonishing scene of Su Fang's breakthrough, the realm lord of a small world was also shocked. At the same time, he was eager to take advantage of Su Fang's breakthrough to kill Su Fang. Whoosh! An old man flew over from the sky. Sensing the old man's aura, the realm lord of a small world was overjoyed. This old man's cultivation was only at the 9th heaven of the divine emperor realm, but his aura was undoubtedly that of a member of the main branch of Sanskrit. Sanskrit has finally sent someone. Although it's not a peerless expert, as long as a Sanskrit expert appears, Su Fang, this hot potato, can finally be delivered. The realm lord of a small world immediately showed himself and went straight to the Sanskrit old man. After greeting him, the Sanskrit old man said coldly and embarrassedly, "Let's go and meet Su Fang." The realm lord of a small world hesitated. "Lord, we are 2 high-level divine emperors. Are we afraid of a mid-level divine emperor who hasn't completed his breakthrough yet?" The Sanskrit old man snorted coldly and flew toward Su Fang. The realm lord of a small world smiled embarrassedly and followed the Sanskrit old man. They arrived in the air above the mountain peak. At this time, the tribulation fire on Su Fang's body was still burning fiercely. However, in the midst of the tribulation fire, he looked pleasantly surprised. "Su Fang, you've started a massacre in my territory. You're really arrogant. Now that the Sanskrit Lord has personally come, why don't you surrender and follow him to Sanskrit?" The realm lord of a small world shouted arrogantly. Suddenly, bang! A black Xian Guang hit the back of the head of the small world's realm lord. Caught off guard, his divine aperture's defense shook and the black Xian Guang slammed into his divine aperture. You, the realm lord of a small world turned pale with fright. In his divine aperture, a black-clothed man rose from the black Xian Guang. Judging from his face, it was Su Fang. "How dare you try to harm me? You're courting death." Su Fang's second primordial spirit said coldly. The primordial spirit's power formed a turbulent wave. The power of the primordial spirit of a divine emperor surged toward the yang spirit of the small world. The realm lord of a small world was shocked. He had to fight with the second primordial spirit in his spiritual world. Whoosh! Whoosh! Bai Ling and Gue attacked from the mountain peak at the same time. With a bang, Bai Ling activated the Chaos Ring. A terrifying aura that made the heavenly Tao chaotic burst out and hit the divine body of the realm lord of a small world. The realm lord of a small world flew backward like a kite with a broken string. His divine body was shattered layer by layer. At this time, Gue rushed out quickly and spat out poisonous flames. The flames burned crazily on the realm lord of a small world and corroded his body. The sector lord of the small world had reached the 9th heaven of the divine emperor realm. In addition, this was his territory, so he could easily control the world origin of the small world. It would be difficult for ordinary experts of the divine emperor realm to kill him. At this time, under the pincer attack of the second primordial spirit, Bai Ling and Gue, especially the second primordial spirit, he had no time to pay attention to the attacks outside. In less than half an hour, his divine body was severely injured and his primordial spirit was devoured by Su Fang's second primordial spirit. Deity. Chapter 1998. When the tribulation fire gradually extinguished, Su Fang also completed this promotion. The aura on his body, as well as the heavenly Tao imprints inside his divine body, divine aperture, and yang spirit, all became fourth level. Fourth level of the divine emperor realm. Su Fang swallowed the pill, and then looked at the second primordial spirit. What happened after I left the Brahma Saint Tower? The second primordial spirit sent a thought and merged with the main body. Su Fang immediately understood everything that happened after he escaped from the Brahma Saint Tower. Su Fang was also surprised and pleasantly surprised that the second primordial spirit caused so much chaos in Sanskrit. Then, when he learned that Xian Lingzi was rescued by the second primordial spirit, Su Fang was even more ecstatic. The purpose of coming to the Brahma heaven god realm this time was not only to take revenge on Sanskrit, but also to save Xian Lingzi. Now that both goals were achieved, how could he not be happy? Whoosh, the second primordial spirit released Xian Lingzi from the space inside the Sanskrit elder's body. Xian Lingzi looked haggard and his aura was weak, not only because he was shackled by Shinja Tianjun, but also because he learned about Su Fang's true identity from Shinja Tianjun. Su Fang, looking at Su Fang, Xian Lingzi said bitterly. Su Fang knelt on the ground. Grandfather. Xian Lingzi was startled, then snorted inexplicably. Godson Su Fang is the #1 godson of the star below God realm, a peerless genius on the primordial chaos golden ranking. What am I, Xian Lingzi, daring to be your elder? Su Fang was about to ascend to the heavens, how he met the fallen Mo Fenghua, how he took over Mo Fenghua's body, and how he entered Kuan Su divine sect with his identity. Xian Lingzi fell into silence. After a long time, he said indifferently, "Since Fenghua didn't die in your hands, you and I have nothing to do with each other from now on. Thank you for saving me this time, I will repay you in the future. Goodbye, Mo Xianling." Xian Lingzi cupped his fists to Su Fang and was about to get up and leave. Su Fang was at his wits' end. At this time, Bai Ling shouted coldly, "You old thing, you really don't know what's good for you. My brother didn't hesitate to risk his life to sneak into the Brahmin race and use all sorts of methods to save you. If he didn't treat you as family, would he have done this? You don't know what's good for you." Xian Lingzi's face was full of black lines. He treats great demons like us as his family, which shows how much he values relationships and righteousness. Xian well. He you. Well you. Bai Ling continued, "What kind of peerless figure is my brother? You. Was you." Xian Lingzi hesitated. Su Fang kowtowed 3 times on the ground. "Grandpa." Xian Lingzi sighed and looked at Su Fang with a soft gaze. Su Fang was overjoyed. Xian Lingzi said coldly, "If you want to be my grandson, I have a few conditions." "What conditions, Grandpa?" "You can't break your engagement with the 108 Taoist companions I chose for you." Su Fang nodded quickly, but he was laughing in his heart. After Su Fang was forced to leave the star below God realm, the families of the 108 Taoist companions announced the cancellation of the engagement. Xian Lingzi naturally didn't know. Xian Lingzi said, "In addition, your son must have the surname Mo. And you must promise me that within 100,000 years, I will have a great-grandson." Su Fang was flabbergasted. In the end, he had no choice but to agree. "There is one last condition." Xian Lingzi's expression became serious. "One day, when you have enough strength, you must seek justice from the Ji people on behalf of Fenghua and avenge your father's death. I, Su Fang, swear that one day I will exterminate the Ji people." Su Fang said, "Exterminate the Ji people?" Xian Lingzi shook his head. He didn't believe that Su Fang could one day exterminate the powerful Ji people. It was good enough that he could vent his anger. Just like that, Xian Lingzi stayed by Su Fang's side. On the mountain peak there was a joyous atmosphere. Su Fang took out a large amount of pills and resources for Xian Lingzi to cultivate. Xian Lingzi accepted them without hesitation. His grandson was a peerless genius. As a grandfather, if the gap was too big, he would be laughed at. Also, Xian Lingzi's lifespan was changed by Xing Wuji's life Great Tao. Even his cultivation talent changed a lot. His future achievements would far surpass the realm lord of a small realm. Suddenly the second primordial spirit said, "Main body, from the memories of the realm lord of this small realm, Sanskrit has sent a clone of Shinja Tianjun. He is rushing here and will arrive soon." Shinja Tianjun is coming? Su Fang's divine light changed instantly. With Su Fang's current strength, it was impossible for him to fight against Shinja Tianjun. Also, he had just activated the primeval chaos sacred mirror. If he activated it again, it would bring serious consequences. Not only him, even Shu Wanjin would not be able to bear it. Primeval Chaos Golden List? Although there was the protection of the Primeval Chaos Golden List, it was not omnipotent. Unless a peerless expert like Shinja Tianjun personally attacked Su Fang, the Primeval Chaos Golden List would release its protective divine might. This was the Brahma Heaven God realm. Shinja Tianjun had too many methods to kill Su Fang without touching the Primeval Chaos Golden List. Luo's cold voice came from the ridge. "I'm afraid Shinja Tianjun won't come. If he really comes, I will teach him an unforgettable lesson." Then, a man in blood-red clothes slowly flew toward the mountain peak. At this time, Luo was no longer an illusory primordial spirit, but a body of flesh and blood. He was wearing a cloak condensed from blood, looking majestic and murderous, like a god of death who had walked out of a bloody prison. His eyes occasionally flashed with a bloody glow, causing Su Fang to tremble when he saw it. Xian Lingzi, Bai Ling, and Qing Yu could not help but feel their hair stand on end. The moment they were stared at by Luo, they felt as if their souls had fallen into a boundless world of slaughter. Gui Gui was also a monster born from blood. Sensing Luo's aura, he trembled all over and roared in fear. The former Azura king, after being sealed for countless years, finally reappeared at this time. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. "Luo, you have successfully condensed a physical body and recovered your previous strength? Although I have successfully condensed a divine body with the blood energy of Sanskrit's ancestor, there is still a big gap compared to my own divine body. It is difficult to use some of the Azura divine clan's divine abilities. Sooner or later, I will have to go back to the clan and take back my physical body. However, the physical body condensed from my blood is also very extraordinary. Coupled with my primordial spirit, after cultivating the immortal soul code these years, it is a bit stronger than before. With my current strength, I should be very confident in dealing with Shinja Tianjun," Luo said embarrassedly. The domineering aura of the Azura king was undoubtedly displayed at this moment. Although Shinja Tianjun sent out a clone, its strength was comparable to a great realm master. Even though Luo had not fully recovered his strength, he still had the strength to deal with Shinja Tianjun. His previous strength was indeed shocking. After some planning, Su Fang continued to stay on the mountain peak, waiting for Shinja Tianjun's arrival. Xian Lingzi, Bai Ling, Qing Yu, and Gui Gui did not have the qualifications to interfere in the battle between the great realm masters. They were all taken into Su Fang's inner world. Xian Lingzi was directly arranged by Su Fang into the time and space cavern to consume pills and resources to recover his strength. Luo hid himself 100 miles away. With his current strength, even if Shinja Tianjun came, it would be difficult for him to discover his existence. The second primordial spirit lived in the realm master's divine aperture and controlled his divine body to return to the divine capital of the small realm. After Su Fang made the necessary arrangements, 3 days later, a middle-aged man exuding a domineering aura walked out of the starry gate of the divine capital. Shinja Tianjun. Come and pay your respects to this seat. Shinja Tianjun's majestic voice echoed in the divine capital of the small realm. Whoosh! Before his voice fell, the realm master of the small realm flew over and respectfully paid his respects to Shinja Tianjun. After asking and learning that Su Fang had not left, Shinja Tianjun's eyes suddenly lit up. He took the realm master of the small realm and went straight to where Su Fang was. They came to the void 100,000 miles away. Shinja Tianjun's gaze swept across the deep mountains and saw Su Fang sitting cross-legged on the mountain peak. As expected of Su Fang, I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come to me. Let's see how you escape from this seat in the Brahma Heaven God realm. Shinja Tianjun smiled sinisterly. The realm master of the small realm reminded, Lord Divine Lord, Su Fang is on the Primal Chaos Golden List. Since this seat can come in person, how can I not be prepared in advance? Shinja Tianjun smiled confidently. He took a step and escaped into the void. When he reappeared, he was already 3,000 meters above the mountain peak where Su Fang was. The realm master of the small realm smiled coldly and also flew over. Shinja Tianjun took out a flag that was 1 meter long. This flag exuded an ancient aura. It was densely covered with stars arranged in a mysterious way. At first glance, it gave people a terrifying feeling as if the stars were moving. The heaven-shrouding star flag is my clan's half-creation divine artifact. After it is activated, it can reverse the stars, deceive the heavenly law, and isolate the connection between the primal chaos golden list and those supreme existences. It can suppress Su Fang without anyone noticing. Shinja Tianjun smiled proudly and then activated the heaven-shrouding star flag. In an instant, countless rays of starlight shot out from the heaven-shrouding star flag and quickly condensed into bright stars in the sky, covering 100,000 miles of the void. The stars moved in a strange orbit and released a vast divine power that shrouded heaven and earth. The stars moved, the sun changed, and the mysteries of heaven were obscured. The space of 100,000 miles seemed to have completely disappeared from heaven and earth. Su Fang, give me your life. Chapter 1999. Shinja, I trust you've been well since we last met? Su Fang suddenly opened his eyes and looked coldly at Shinja Tianjun, the corners of his mouth rising into a mocking smile. Fourth heaven of the divine emperor realm. Shinja Tianjun's deep eyes flashed with incomparable shock. Su Fang was still a heavenly god in the star-billow divine realm. How many years had it been? In just a few thousand years, he had broken through to the divine emperor realm in one fell swoop and reached the fourth heaven. Such a cultivation speed made Shinja Tianjun's scalp go numb. At this rate, wouldn't Su Fang possess the strength to crush him in another 1,000,000 years? This boy must not be left alive. The primal chaos divine lattice must be obtained at all costs. The killing intent in Shinja Tianjun's heart suddenly became 10 times stronger. At the same time, the greed and desire for the primal chaos divine lattice instantly occupied his heart. You're about to die, but you're not panicking at all. You think I won't dare to hurt you because of the chaos golden roll's protection, right? Seeing Su Fang so calm, Shinja Tianjun naturally thought that Su Fang was relying on the Chaos Golden Roll, so he let out an inexplicable snort of laughter. Su Fang said, Shinja, you were almost suppressed by the Chaos Golden Roll last time. Have you forgotten so quickly? Stupid ant, if I wasn't prepared, why would I attack you? There's no harm in telling you the truth, so that you can completely give up. This world has already been covered by my supreme divine weapon, the heaven-concealing star flag, and cut off the connection between those peerless experts and the Hunyuan golden ranking. So, you can completely give up. Shinja Tianjun showed a smug look, looking at Su Fang like a cat playing with a mouse in the palm of its hand. The heaven-shrouding star banner? Can isolate the world, what a good treasure. Su Fang's eyes flashed with a hale and hearty light. Being able to die under the might of my supreme Brahma clan's half-creation divine artifact can be considered your supreme good fortune. Su Fang, obediently hand over your divine lattice, and I'll let you die more comfortably. Jia. A sacred golden light appeared on Xinjia Tianjuan's body, and a supreme domineering aura burst out. He opened his mouth to spit the word Jia at Su Fang. A divine might that was filled with the will of the heavenly Tao caused the laws of the heavenly Tao to collapse and all things to be destroyed. It descended with a bang and whistled all along the way, causing space to be distorted and shattered. Suddenly, Heavenly Lord Xinjia's divine light changed instantly. His body swayed and disappeared from the spot. It turned out that the Realm Lord behind Heavenly Lord Xinjia had launched a sneak attack on Heavenly Lord Xinjia. Heaven Lord Xinjia was indeed a peerless expert of the Brahma race. Although this clone's strength was only 1/10 of the original body's, it still had the strength of an ordinary Sector Lord like Xinglan's Sector Lord. The Little Realm Master's sudden sneak attack actually missed, unable to harm Xinjia Tianjun in the slightest. However, Xinjia Tianjuan's attack on Su Fang was also interrupted. You dare betray the supreme Sanskrit? Heavenly Monarch Xinjia was shocked. Soon after, he realized something and was extremely shocked. He looked at Su Fang and said, "You have already prepared for this. Even the Realm Lord of a small world is on your side. Kill." The Realm Lord of the Little Realm let out a shout filled with cold killing intent and charged towards Heaven Monarch Xinjia without any hesitation. The Supreme Sanskrit? Your sacred ground was destroyed, and even your primogeniture was taken away. You've become the biggest joke in the universe, yet you still dare to call yourself a supreme divine clan? Su Fang mocked and ridiculed. Su Fang, you've successfully angered this seat. No matter what methods you have, you won't be able to escape the fate of being suppressed. Everything you have will be taken away by this seat. The Sanskrit Saint Pond was destroyed, hundreds of Sanskrit's geniuses had gone missing, and even the primogenitor's essence blood that they had painstakingly nurtured had disappeared. This matter had long since spread, and one could imagine how big of a commotion it would cause in the universe. Sanskrit naturally became the joke of the universe, and this matter became a great humiliation for every member of the Sanskrit. How could Xinjia Tianjun not be angry after being exposed by Su Fang? Su Fang shouted coldly and domineeringly, "I, Su Fang, am the master of my own fate. If you, Xinjia, want to suppress my Su Fang, then you should be prepared to be suppressed." Shwa shwa shwa. More than a dozen devil gods, their bodies burning with life force and devil energy, burst out with all their strength and madly attacked Xinjia Tianjun. These devil gods were controlled by Su Fang using the prehistoric inflammation ability during the ranking battle in Kamiko Hoshino. They were one-time consumables, and now Su Fang took them all out without hesitation. You have a lot of little tricks, but how much of a threat can you pose to this seat? Xinjia Tianjun snorted disdainfully and used his divine ability to draw the power of heaven and earth, knocking back the devil gods one after another. Some of them were directly shattered into balls of flame. This seat wants to see what kind of expert you are, to dare to help Su Fang and seize the body of my Brahma Heaven God Realm's Realm Master. Xinjia Tianjuan's strength was incomparably strong. After seeing that the Realm Master of the Little Realm had been seized and his consciousness was controlled, he set his sights on the Realm Master of the Little Realm after knocking back the Devil God. His speed was as fast as teleportation. His body swayed, and he was next to the Realm Master of the Little Realm. He reached out and grabbed at the air. Like the hand of the heavens, he released a shocking force that made it difficult for the Realm Master of the Little Realm to move. Suddenly, the Realm Master of the Little Realm's divine body violently swelled and then exploded with a boom. The Realm Master of the Little Realm's strength was at the peak of the 9th Heaven God Emperor Realm. At this time, the explosion of his divine body and cultivation was so powerful that Xinjia Tianjun couldn't help but be afraid. Whoosh! A black Xian Guang shot out from the explosion and was not affected by the explosion. It shot toward Xinjia Tianjuan's forehead. The divine power of the primordial spirit condensed into invisible sword energy and fiercely attacked Xinjia Tianjuan's divine aperture defense. What the hell is this? This is Night Demon. It's actually the legendary Night Demon. Su Fang, you actually colluded with Night Demon. Could it be that you've been controlled by Night Demon for a long time? Very few people knew about Night Demon from the macro world to the myriad world. However, it couldn't be hidden from the God clan that had existed since the ancient times like the Sanskrit. Therefore, Xinjia Tianjun could see the origin of the second primordial spirit at a glance. Night Demon. Not only in the macro world, but in the myriad worlds, even some powerful emperors and supreme existences who knew about Night Demon would change their expressions when they mentioned Night Demon. At this moment, Xinjia Tianjuan's heart was frozen and trembling. At the same time, Xinjia Tianjun suddenly realized, I understand now. In the Buddhist Saint Tower, the one who controlled my clan's experts and wantonly assassinated my clansmen, causing great chaos, was you. If I'm not wrong, Xian Lingzi was also saved by you. Su Fang smiled and said, You only understand now, at least you're not too stupid. Xinjia Tianjun gritted his teeth and released his primordial spirit's divine aura to defend against the second primordial spirit's attack. At the same time, he coldly shouted at Su Fang, Su Fang, I've changed my mind. Not only will I strip your godhead, I'll also strip your primordial spirit and let your soul burn in the heavenly fire, suffering for eternity. Unfortunately, you won't have such an opportunity. As soon as Su Fang's voice fell, the remaining flaming demon gods pounced on Xinjia Tianjun one by one. Boom, boom, boom. All the demon gods exploded, flames and demonic qi surged out and engulfed Xinjia Tianjun. Xinjia Tianjun was really strong. After being attacked by the second primordial spirit and suffering such a violent explosion at the same time, he was actually unharmed. Only the divine clothes on his body were burned with holes and the defense of his divine aperture was almost broken. Jia! A golden light shot out from between Xinjia Tianjuan's eyebrows and condensed into a ray of primordial spirit's sword qi, shooting into the black mark where the second primordial spirit resided. The two primordial spirits collided, setting off a gust of wind that swept away the impact of the demon god's self-explosion. Su Fang, what other tricks do you have? Take them all out. Xinjia Tianjun laughed arrogantly, shaking heaven and earth. With this king here, how can a Sanskrit brat like you be so arrogant? Xinjia Tianjuan's laughter was still echoing when suddenly, a cold, bloodthirsty voice came from above. At the same time, a divine aura suddenly descended and shrouded heaven and earth, causing heaven and earth to change color instantly, turning into a blood-red color. A monstrous, killing aura filled heaven and earth, and a mournful wind whistled. Within a radius of 1,000 miles, it turned into a world of slaughter. Luo had finally made his move. Su Fang's second primordial spirit and the demon gods were entangled with Xinjia to create an opportunity for Luo to unleash the Azura Divine Clan's supreme divine ability, massacre the Blood World. Azura Divine Clan. Xinjia Tianjuan's expression finally changed, completely losing the look of being in control of the situation just now. Su Fang, not only did you collude with Night Demon, but you also colluded with the Azura Divine Clan. What's the difference between you and an evil cultivator? You've fallen into the evil path and will be punished by the heavens. There will be no place for you in the universe. Only then did Xinjia Tianjun realize that Su Fang's calm and collected appearance was not because of the primordial chaos golden list, but because of the Azura Divine Clan's powerhouse. At the same time, he also understood that Su Fang had set up a trap to kill him. Su Fang said indifferently, punished by the heavens? I wonder if Sir Divine Lord still remembers when you came to punish the heavens, destroyed the Yellow Spring immortal world, and killed the Yellow Spring Great Emperor? Shinja Tianjun was stunned. I've suppressed countless ants in the great world. How can I remember so much? Unfortunately, I, Su Fang, always remember that I'm the successor of the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. You came to punish the heavens and killed him. Today, I'll kill one of your doppelgangers to repay the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's kindness in teaching me. Su Fang, you're quite ambitious. You even dared to scheme against me. Such courage, you're worthy of being the peerless overlord of the great world. It's a pity that you want to kill me, but it's laughable. Su Fang was no longer with him? Clothes? Benyuma, magpie, skeleton, and alfalfa? Tuawei? After being sealed for countless years, this king is really excited to finally have a physical body to fight against the powerhouses of the universe. Shinja, show me all your skills. Don't disappoint this king. Chapter 2000. I've never fought an Azura God clan expert before, so it's my good fortune to be able to fight you today. Don't disappoint me too much. Shinja Tianjun declared. In the next moment, after Shinja Tianjun made a hand seal, golden light burst out of his body and shredded the surrounding aura of slaughter and blood. Then, he activated the power of the heavenly law and formed a domain. Inside the domain, the earth quickly took shape. Mountains and rivers were born, and wind, rain, thunder, and lightning were born. Shinja Tianjun used the power of the heavenly law and Sanskrit's supreme divine ability to create a world that looked exactly like the real world. The only thing missing was life. Boom, boom, boom. The two worlds collided, eroded, and devoured each other. It caused an earth-shattering tremor. The power of the world swept across the area, shattering the void and reducing the earth below to dust. Fortunately, Su Fang had already escaped far away with the silver-streaked sword. Otherwise, he would have been in big trouble if he was caught in the shockwaves of the two worlds. When the collision was over, the world Shinja Tianjun created with the power of the heavenly law had shrunk to less than 5 kilometers in size. On the other hand, Luo's world of blood and slaughter had shattered. It wasn't that Luo was weaker than Shinja Tianjun's avatar, but that Sanskrit's divine ability was incredibly powerful. It could control the power of the heavenly law, and Shinja Tianjun could borrow the power of the heavenly law endlessly since they were in the territory of the Brahma heaven god realm. Luo had just formed a physical body, and his strength was suppressed by the power of the world in this little world. Azura celestial tribe, seeing is believing. Heavenly Lord Shinja mocked Luo Yi with a smug look on his face. It's too early for you to be proud. Luo snorted. An indescribably cold and bloody murderous aura suddenly burst out of his eyes. In an instant, a ball of bloody light rolled in the sky above Shinja Tianjun and formed a blood moon. This blood moon looked like it was made of blood. A single glance at it was enough to make one's soul tremble in fear. The moment Lord of Heaven Shinja was enveloped by the blood-red radiance of the blood moon scatter, he felt as though the blood in his body was burning. His eyes turned blood-red in an instant, and a frenzied killing intent rose within him uncontrollably. I'll show you the Azura God Clan's supreme divine ability. Blood moon burns the sky. Luo suddenly pointed a finger at the sky. The blood moon burned like a bloody divine sun and released a strange divine flame aura. The flame of sin. Heavenly Lord Shinja felt as if his body was in a furnace. His blood and chi were being steamed. Even the world he created with his supreme divine power couldn't resist the power of the sinful blood fire. Break for me. Shinja Tianjun finally panicked. He communicated with the heavenly law and was about to use the Sanskrit's supreme divine ability to destroy the blood moon. But the moment he activated his magic power, the sea of magic power inside his divine aperture ignited with a boom, and the entire divine aperture was filled with a shocking murderous aura. Shinja Tianjun's primordial spirit consciousness was attacked by the murderous aura and became more and more violent. He only wanted to kill to his heart's content and kill everything he saw. Meanwhile, His blood and chi were being steamed even faster. You want to suppress me? Don't even think about it. Shinja Tianjun roared. Golden light burst out from the depths of his body and scattered the divine might of the flame of sin. Then he took out a rune talisman and crushed it. Golden Xian Guang shot out from the rune talisman and dissipated into nothingness. Don't forget, this is the Brahma Heaven God realm. This rune talisman can directly contact the supreme experts of Sanskrit and kill them in an instant. None of you can escape, Shinja Tianjun shouted as if he had gone mad. He was very proud of himself. Who would have thought that before he could finish his words, a divine might would vibrate? The golden mystic light that had just escaped into the void was bounced back by this divine might. After a series of chaotic flashes, it vanished into nothingness. The heaven-shrouding star banner. Why didn't I think of it? Shinja Tianjun was dumbfounded. Then he roared in despair. The heaven-shrouding star banner. It could deceive the heavenly law and isolate heaven's secrets. Its power was extremely domineering and couldn't distinguish between friend and foe. It could even isolate the connection between the primal chaos golden ranking and the supreme existences of the universe, let alone Shinja Tianjun's rune talisman. What did it mean to be caught in a trap of one's own making? This time, Shinja Tianjun was caught in a trap of his own making. Law laughed loudly and activated the blood moon. The blood sin fire separated from the blood moon and enveloped Shinja Tianjun, burning fiercely. Shinja, you tyrannically wanted to seize my divine spark. Did you think that today would come? Die. Su Fang also flew over and struck out with the power of time, causing the flow of time around Shinja Tianjun to suddenly accelerate. The acceleration was not much, only 2 or 3 times. With Shinja Tianjun's strength, he could easily resolve it under normal circumstances. However, at this time, he was being burned by the blood sin fire. Under the effect of time, the terrifying divine might of the blood sin fire steamed the blood energy at a speed 2 or 3 times faster. To Shinja Tianjun, this was undoubtedly fatal. I, Shinja, who had painstakingly cultivated for 1 billion years, would be killed by an ant that ascended from the great world. I can't accept this. If I had known this would happen, I would have killed you in the great world, even if I had to suffer the backlash of the great world's heavenly Tao. Su Fang, don't be complacent too early. Sooner or later, my original body will know the reason why I was killed. At that time, even if you have the protection of the primal chaos golden ranking, you won't be able to escape the fate of being suppressed by me. And you, the Azura Divine Clan, I will never let you go. Sooner or later, I, the Supreme Sanskrit, will exterminate your Azura Divine Clan, Shinja Tianjun roared in pain and unwillingness as he burned in the blood sin fire. However, so what if he was unwilling? In just 10 breaths of time, the blood sin fire burned Shinja Tianjun's body for nearly 30 breaths of time. His blood energy was completely burned away by the blood sin fire. Even his yang spirit could not escape and was completely burned to ashes. Shinja Tianjun's clone, whose strength was comparable to that of a powerful great world's realm master, disappeared from the world without a trace. Su Fang, congratulations on finally getting your revenge. Law put away the blood moon in the sky and flew towards Su Fang. If it weren't for you, how could I have killed Shinja Tianjun? And this time, it was only his clone that was killed, not his original body. Su Fang was also very happy to have killed Shinja Tianjun's clone. Ever since he ascended to the myriad realms, Shinja Tianjun was like a mountain that always pressed down on his heart. Now that he finally vented his anger, Su Fang was naturally very happy. With your current cultivation speed and future achievements, killing Shinja Tianjun's original body is only a matter of time. Law said with a smile. Suddenly, the magic treasure's divine power that enveloped the surroundings disappeared in an instant, and the heaven-shrouding star flag appeared in the air. With a whoosh, the flag rolled up a divine power that distorted space, and was about to escape into the void. Not good, this magic treasure is full of spirituality. Now that its master has fallen, it's actually planning to escape. Law's divine light changed instantly. Once the heaven-shrouding star flag escaped, the magic treasure's original soul would leak the scene that had just happened to Shinja Tianjuan's original body and the Sanskrit's upper echelons. How could Shinja Tianjun and the Sanskrit not take revenge? Want to escape? Do you think it's that easy? Su Fang's eyes flashed with a mysterious purple light, and the purple Qi Law spirit's original soul, Ah-Zi, swept out from his eyes and flew into the air in an instant, bursting out a terrifying divine power that could control magic treasures and even heaven and earth, shrouding the heaven-shrouding star flag. The heaven-shrouding star flag suddenly trembled, but after all, this treasure was a semi-divine creation tool, and was not an ordinary magic treasure. A burst of heaven and earth creation Qi burst out, shattering the divine power of the purple Qi Law spirit's control layer by layer. Law shouted excitedly, "Half-divine creation tool, this is a semi-divine creation tool. Su Fang, try to subdue this treasure, this is a great fortune that Shinja Tianjun has given you." Half-divine creation tool? Su Fang's eyes flashed with a bright splendor. Without hesitation, he took out the Origin Sacred Mirror and injected a stream of Yang Qi into the mysterious scarlet mirror. Qi. A beam of red light shot out from the mirror and landed on the heaven-shrouding star flag. Under the burning of the 9 Yang true fire, the heaven-shrouding star flag, a semi-divine creation tool, also struggled in horror. Streaks of mysterious heavenly marks, some born and some refined, emerged from the heaven-shrouding star flag, and the blood Qi that had merged with the magic treasure was burned clean by the 9 Yang true fire. "I am willing to be your master. I beg master to quickly take your supreme divine tool." The heaven-shrouding star flag transmitted a thought, offering to submit. Only then did Su Fang put away the Origin Sacred Mirror, reached out and grabbed the purple Qi Law spirit into his body, and the heaven-shrouding star flag was also in his hand. "This is a semi-divine creation tool?" Su Fang looked curiously at the heaven-shrouding star flag. The original spirit of the heaven-shrouding star flag answered honestly, "Master, I am the prototype of a magic treasure nurtured by heaven and earth. Later, I was refined by Sanskrit's weapon refiners to become a semi-divine creation tool and a supreme treasure of Sanskrit. This time, Shinja Tianjun specially borrowed it from the chief of Sanskrit to deal with Master. It's not Shinja Tianjuan's magic treasure, but a treasure of Sanskrit. I didn't expect that it would benefit me, Su Fang." Su Fang was overjoyed. This time, he really had to thank Shinja Tianjun. Law warned, "Su Fang, although this magic treasure is good, you don't dare to use it now. If Sanskrit knows that you stole their supreme treasure, then you can wait to be hunted down by Sanskrit every day. Even the Origin Golden List won't be able to protect you. Half-creation divine artifacts are rare treasures in the hands of any god race." "Law, I'm naturally aware of this." Su Fang put the heaven-shrouding star flag into his inner world, waiting for time to slowly ponder and integrate it. In this way, Su Fang gained a semi-divine creation tool, which was second only to the Origin Sacred Mirror among all the magic treasures. Law looked at Su Fang, revealing a rueful expression. Chapter 2001. Sure enough, Luo Yuyu said, "Su Fang, I've already condensed my physical body, and I'm not far from returning to my peak state. It's time for me to return to the Azura Divine Clan." Su Fang's heart sank. "Luo, didn't we agree before that I would accompany you to the Azura Divine Clan when I have enough strength? Don't worry, I'm not returning to the Azura Divine Clan for revenge or to regain my former power. It's best if I can get my physical body back, but if I can't, I'll take back the inheritance of my clan that was hidden in some ruins. There won't be any danger." It's just that Su Fang had known Luo since he was in the Great World, and he regarded Luo as his teacher, brother, and friend. Now that they were about to part, Su Fang suddenly felt empty and reluctant to part with Luo, as if he had lost his backbone. Luo reprimanded, "Su Fang, you're a peerless overlord of the great world, and a peerless genius in all the heavens and realms. Why are you still so wishy-washy? With me by your side, you'll have someone to rely on in your heart, which will be detrimental to your growth. It'll only be good for you if I leave." Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. "I've seen you grow from a humble cultivator in the great world to a peak powerhouse in the great world. After ascending to the heavens and realms, you quickly gained a foothold and became the #1 genius of a great world. Now that I think about it, it's really incredible. You have talent and supreme luck, but you also have ambition, boldness, and scheming. Given time, you'll definitely reach the peak of the heavens and realms. However, what you lack is a powerful background to support you. It's very difficult to rise against the heavens and realms. Geniuses are easy to break, and I'm a clear example. The Divine Sun competition is an opportunity for you, and for all the peerless geniuses in the heavens and realms without background to rise against the heavens. Don't miss this opportunity." Su Fang nodded. "Luo, I'll remember it. Su Fang, take care of yourself. You and I will meet again in the future. I hope that the next time I see you, you'll have already become a peerless genius in the entire universe, so that even I can look up to you." Luo Fei went forward and hugged Su Fang, patting his back heavily. "Take care, Su Fang, my human brother." After that, Law's figure flew backward, waved at Su Fang, and then escaped into nothingness and disappeared without a trace. If it were not for Luo, Su Fang would have died a long time ago. Moreover, Luo's teachings were closely related to Su Fang's growth. At this time, Luo's position in Su Fang's heart was the same as Qingyu and Bai Ling. He was a family member and a friend. With Law gone, Su Fang's heart suddenly felt empty. All good things must come to an end. I hope that Luo can return to his peak as soon as possible, take back his body, and finally take back the Azura King that belongs to him. Su Fang waved away the reluctance in his heart and the melancholy of parting. After fusing with his second primordial spirit, he released Qingyu and swallowed it into his stomach. He transformed into his original state and directly broke through the sky. In the vast primal chaos void, there was no spatial distance, and time had lost its meaning here. Violent and turbulent primal chaos turbulence swept through the void wantonly. Occasionally, some powerful existences that lived in the primal chaos would pass through the void. Their powerful and violent aura dispelled the desolation and coldness of the primal chaos void, but it soon returned to its original state. Boom! A figure shrouded in golden light broke through the void and emerged from the void. The figure staggered, the golden light dissipated, and then turned into a flying shuttle-shaped purple jade, which was absorbed into the figure's body. This person was Su Fang. After parting with Law, Su Fang left the small realm where the Brahma Heaven God realm was located. It had been more than 1,000 years since then. In order to prevent Sanskrit from chasing after him, Su Fang did not use the realm-crossing stargate. Instead, he used Qingyu's innate ability to gallop through the primal chaos void. On one hand, it was to avoid Sanskrit, and on the other hand, it was to gain experience. His harvest in the Brahma Heaven God realm, except for the Chaos Origin Pearl that Sanskrit's Primal Chaos Sacred Mirror, refined by the Primal Chaos Sacred Mirror, almost all of the other gains had been digested by Su Fang and his subordinate. Their overall strength had not only stabilized to its normal state, but also increased by a lot. However, Su Fang never expected that Qingyu would unfortunately encounter an incomparably powerful chaos monster when she was passing through a flood of primal chaos not long ago. It was not a monster, but a foreign race that lived in the primal chaos. It was also a kind of human. However, it was a chaos giant that was thousands of meters tall. Its intelligence was not high, but its strength was comparable to a great realm master. Moreover, this chaos giant was born with the terrifying ability to pass through the primal chaos. In the primal chaos, except for those powerful beings that were rarely seen, the chaos giant was an overlord. In the flood of primal chaos, Qingyu crashed into the sleeping chaos giant and tore a wound on its body. This time, she was in big trouble. After the chaos giant woke up, it immediately went into a berserk state and began to chase after Qingyu. Although Qingyu had the talent to control space and travel through the primal chaos, she was still only in the Divine Emperor realm. Moreover, the chaos giant had an innate advantage in the primal chaos. In the end, Qingyu was unable to escape the pursuit of the chaos giant, and she was also heavily injured. In the end, Su Fang had no choice but to activate the sky-piercing rainbow shuttle and finally broke free of the chaos giant's pursuit and appeared here. Oh no, I'm actually lost. In the primal chaos, there was no sense of direction, time, and space. It was a state of chaos. However, one could always sense the natural energy of the God Realm's plane. Following the weak sense of nature, one could find a plane of the God Realm. At this time, he could not sense a trace of the natural energy of heaven and earth. It was obvious that he was in the depths of the primal chaos. If it was any other time, Su Fang would not be afraid, but now that Qingyu was injured, Su Fang could not continuously activate the sky-piercing rainbow shuttle. In the primal chaos, he could not absorb the natural energy of heaven and earth and world energy. Fortunately, Su Fang had the chaos rank godhead, and had the talent to communicate and control the primal chaos. Moreover, he had integrated a lot of primal chaos origin energy in the Brahma Saint Pond. Adding to the fact that he did not lack any elixirs, he could barely survive in the primal chaos. Su Fang controlled the primal chaos energy and flew in the vast primal chaos. Unknowingly, more than 100 years had passed. Inside the time and space cave, Qingyu continuously swallowed elixirs and blood crystals and finally recovered completely. This also meant that Su Fang could finally break away from the days of drifting in the primal chaos. Just as he was about to let Qingyu out, suddenly, in a region not far away from him, the primal chaos current tumbled and a huge object flew out from the primal chaos current in an incomparably tyrannical and overbearing manner. Taking a closer look, the object was about 1,000 miles in size. Although it was much smaller than a divine world, it had the same world barrier as a divine world. One could clearly see that there were many pavilions, trees, rivers, and all kinds of birds and beasts in the world. One could also see gods flying in the world, as if it was a moving divine world in the primal chaos. Such a scene greatly shocked Su Fang. Su Fang had heard a long time ago that some region Lord Realm experts use supreme divine abilities to create a divine world, and then they sold it to deities to obtain huge profits from it. The moving divine world that he saw now was a real divine world plane created by a peerless expert of the divine world using supreme divine abilities and formations. It was just that it was much smaller than a normal divine world. To be able to travel through a divine world plane in the primal chaos void, one was not an ordinary person. The owner of this moving divine world obviously had an extraordinary identity. The moving object seemed slow, but its speed was much faster than lightning. In a few breaths of time, it appeared more than 100 miles away from Su Fang. Suddenly the moving object slowly stopped, and a god flew out from it. Obviously, he had discovered Su Fang's existence. This was a middle-aged man who was the domain lord of a small world. He transmitted his primordial spirit to Su Fang from afar. Looking at your appearance, you should have encountered danger in the primal chaos void. If you continue to travel alone, you will definitely die in the primal chaos. Therefore, my young master ordered me to come and ask you if you are willing to accompany him to enter his lesser heaven realm and head to the Green Dome divine world? He wants me to accompany him? Su Fang was not surprised. In the universe, it was not uncommon to hit someone when they were down. However, Su Fang had never seen someone who would help him in his hour of need. Su Fang asked, "How much do I have to pay?" The middle-aged man snorted at Su Fang's words. "What kind of status does my young master have? He saw that you were pitiful, so he decided to help you. Why would he care about your reward?" Su Fang was surprised again. "May I ask who your young master is?" "My young master is the young master of the heavenly martial divine world. At the same time, he is also the #1 godchild of the heavenly martial divine world. He is also one of the 10 great young masters of the Green Dome star region. People call him Young Master Tianwu," the middle-aged man said proudly. "Young Master Tianwu?" Su Fang was shocked. Su Fang had heard of Young Master Tianwu in the Star Below God realm. The star region where the Star Below God realm was located was called the Green Dome star region. There were more than 3,000 great realms like the Star Below God realm in the Green Dome star region, and the Star Below God realm was only one of the lower average great realms. The heavenly martial divine world was the largest great realm in the Green Dome star region aside from the Green Dome divine world. In terms of size and power, it was more than 10 times larger than the Star Below God realm. People named the 10 great young masters of the Green Dome divine world as the 10 great young masters. Bai Holan of the Star Below God realm was one of them, but his ranking was near the bottom. Young Master Tianwu was ranked second only to Young Master Qing Qiong. Not only was he talented, but he was also very straightforward. Because Young Master Qing Qiong, who was ranked first, was mysterious, Young Master Tianwu was even more famous than Young Master Qing Qiong. I didn't expect to meet the legendary Young Master Tianwu in the primal chaos void. The God-Child battle of the star region is just around the corner. Young Master Tianwu must have come to the Green Dome divine world to participate in it. Chapter 2002. The moment Su Fang entered the small Sumer realm, he immediately felt a few senses sweep past him. Su Fang smiled faintly. He knew that Young Master Tianwu and the other experts were sizing him up. He scanned the small Sumer realm from below with his great perfection realm vision. The small Sumer realm was only 1,000 miles wide. It was filled with natural spiritual energy, and the scenery was magnificent. It was like a moving secret realm. On the mountain peaks there were palaces and pavilions for the gods to live in. Su Fang found that the closer he was to the central region, the fewer palaces and pavilions there were, but the more luxurious they were. Su Fang sensed that there were more than 100,000 people living in the small Sumer realm. There was no lack of experts among them. Young Master Tianwu is very hospitable. There are often guests living in the small Sumer realm. Other than the thousands of Tianwu god princes from the heavenly martial realm, there are also other peerless geniuses from other god realms invited by Young Master Tianwu in the small Sumer realm. With the Tianwu god princes and other peerless geniuses and their followers, the small Sumer realm is already overcrowded. The residential areas of the small Sumer realm are divided into 4 levels: heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. The outer area is the lowest level, the yellow level, for ordinary guests and followers. The profound level is where the Tianwu god princes live. Only the peerless geniuses from other god realms are qualified to live in the earth level. Everyone has their own mountain peak, and Young Master Tianwu lives on the heaven-level peak in the center. The middle-aged man from the heavenly martial realm introduced to Su Fang. Young Master Tianwu specially arranged for you to live on a mountain peak in the profound level area. To be able to receive such treatment, it shows that he values your strength. The middle-aged man continued. From his expression, it seemed that Su Fang was very proud of being able to live in the profound level area. Su Fang did not care about where he lived. In this dangerous chaotic void, it was not easy to find a place to live. What was there to be particular about? Su Fang also had a good impression of this legendary Young Master Tianwu. The middle-aged man brought Su Fang to a mountain peak. Suddenly, the divine light changed and he stopped. "Guest, please wait." Young Master personally sent me a message, asking me to change your residence. Do you want me to live in the outermost Earth-level area? No problem, please bring me there, Su Fang said nonchalantly. The middle-aged man's demeanor clearly became much more polite. Guest, please don't misunderstand. Just now, young master instructed me to bring guest to the Earth-level area. Su Fang raised his eyebrows and asked, why would young Master Tianwu make such an arrangement? Master, young master said Master Tianwu is Tianwu's Tianwu. Master Tianwu's master. To be able to escape from the hands of the Chaos Giant, it is enough to show that the guest's strength is extraordinary. Therefore, you are qualified to live in the profound level area and live alone on a mountain peak. The middle-aged man's Master Tianwu. Tianwu Fang Tianwu. Young Master Tianwu was able to sense the Tianwu's Tianwu giant aura. Young Master Tianwu was very hospitable, but in the small Sumer realm, one's strength was the most important. Only those with strength would receive the corresponding treatment. No matter where one went, it was the same. The middle-aged man brought Su Fang to a mountain peak near the central area. He asked Su Fang to wait for a while. Then, he flew down to the mountain peak. After a while, a fair-skinned young immortal flew down from the mountain peak. He looked unhappy. Turned out that there were already people living on the mountain peak. In order to make room for Su Fang, the genius who used to live there had no choice but to move. Anyone would be angry if this happened to them. The fair-skinned young immortal glared at Su Fang before flying to a nearby mountain peak. Su Fang smiled. He did not take this person to heart. After staying in a palace on the mountain peak, Su Fang activated his Great Perfection Stage ability and the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique. He carefully sensed the small Sumer realm. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Unexpectedly, a familiar aura of destiny caused the Destiny Dao text of the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique to flash rapidly. Finally, it condensed into the image of a woman. Goddess Luo. He did not expect to meet the mysterious and powerful Goddess Luo here. Goddess Luo lived on a mountain peak in the profound area. She lived in a separate pavilion. Her treatment was much worse than Su Fang's. Clearly, this woman had not revealed her true identity. Moreover, she had deliberately suppressed her cultivation to the third heaven of the Divine Emperor realm. Her aura had also changed a lot. If Su Fang had not sensed her with the Heaven's Secret Life shrinking technique, he would not have discovered her existence. At the same time, Su Fang sensed from Goddess Luo's aura that her aura was weak. She must have exhausted herself in the Brahma sacred pond. In addition, she had used a forbidden technique to leave the Brahma sacred pond world. She had not recovered yet. I'll ignore Goddess Luo for now. When I recover to my peak state, I'll pay her a visit. I can't let her leak any information about the Origin Sacred Mirror. In the Brahma Sacred Pond, Su Fang had used the Origin Sacred Mirror to suppress the Sanskrit ancestor. Goddess Luo had seen it. If she leaked the information, it would bring endless trouble to Su Fang. It might even lead to a fatal disaster. Su Fang created a defensive array inside the palace. Then, he took out the Cavern of Time and entered it. Su Fang's previous cultivation room was occupied by Qingyu. He could only go to the room where Luo used to cultivate. I wonder what's Luo's situation now. Looking at the empty room, Su Fang felt a sense of loss. With a sense of melancholy, Su Fang formed a seal and collapsed his physical body, turning it into the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. At the same time, he activated the Azure Blood Sky, forming a kind of reincarnation divine power. He began to wantonly devour elixirs and spiritual items to recover the severe exhaustion in the chaotic void. In the reincarnation divine power, the elixirs and spiritual items rapidly melted and fused with the blood water, constantly replenishing their exhaustion. After fusing the Azure Blood Sky and the Yellow Springs Blood Sea, the Azure Blood Sea formed the Azure Underworld. Its ability to devour and fuse had become even stronger. Thus, Su Fang's recovery ability had also doubled. In the reincarnation cycle of the Yellow Springs Blood Sea, an astonishing flame of life gradually burned. In the cycle of reincarnation, the life force became even stronger. The various types of energy that had been consumed were also rapidly recovered. In the cavern of time, 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. Su Fang had also rapidly recovered to his peak state. At this time, Su Fang condensed a physical body from the blood water. With a thought, the chaos origin bead that the Sanskrit ancestor had refined by the origin sacred mirror appeared in front of Su Fang. Sensing the mysterious and boundless chaos origin yang qi contained within the crimson bead, Su Fang's eyes flashed with excitement and anticipation. Such astonishing chaos origin yang qi should be able to successfully form a yang meridian, right? Su Fang released the power of yin and yang, enveloping the chaos origin bead. Then, it penetrated and fused with it bit by bit. When the terrifying chaos origin yang qi in the chaos origin bead was completely fused with the power of yin and yang, Su Fang separated from it and absorbed it into his body. It was then absorbed by the yang meridian and the world tree. With the help of the boundless chaos origin yang qi, Su Fang began to cultivate the 9 yang 9 transformations and break through the 62nd meridian. At the same time, he condensed doppelgangers from the blood water to cultivate various techniques. In addition, Su Fang condensed the chaos origin yang qi into a ball of energy for the dragon bird and the prehistoric inflammation to absorb. This caused the dragon bird and the prehistoric inflammation to rapidly improve. Qingyu, Bai Ling and the other big goblin, as well as Gui Gui, the undead lord, and the other experts under his command, had also obtained sufficient resources. Their strength was constantly improving. The heaven-shrouding star flag, which he had taken from Shenjia Tianjuan's doppelganger, was also continuously fusing with it and forming hand seals. However, before Su Fang had sufficient strength, he would not use the heaven-shrouding star flag in front of others to avoid being hunted down by Sanskrit. Therefore, this semi-divine creation artifact was temporarily of no use. The primordial yang qi contained in the primordial bead, refined by the Brahmin clan's primordial yang qi, was extremely shocking. After about 5 years of constantly attacking the 62nd meridian, there was a sudden movement in his body. Upon closer inspection, the meridian outside the 61st meridian that was currently attacking was burning with pure yang qi. All of the pure yang energy in the yang meridian, as well as the power of the yin-yang world tree, was attacking this meridian. A terrifying aura that was shockingly expanding and even exploding was rapidly brewing. Qi. A ray of pure yang light swept through the entire heaven and earth Tao Palace. The pure yang flames burning inside and outside the 62nd meridian were instantly extinguished, and the meridian turned into a jade-like yang meridian. The 62nd yang meridian was born. The newly born yang meridian approached the last yang meridian in the heaven and earth Tao Palace and joined their tails, forming the heaven and earth Tao Palace. I'm still 1 yang meridian away from the 7th transformation. Once I reach the 7th transformation, I'll be able to activate the Chaos Origin Holy Mirror and senior sister Shu Wanjin will be able to escape. After successfully forming a yang meridian, Su Fang appeared extremely tired, but his eyes were filled with joy. The birth of another yang meridian meant that his strength had increased greatly. Once he reached the 7th transformation, he would be able to activate the Chaos Origin Holy Mirror and release even more power. After reaching the 7th transformation, Shu Wanjin would be able to see the light of day again. The day they would meet again was not far away. However, according to Su Fang's past experience, the 63rd yang meridian was the most crucial yang meridian to reach the 7th transformation. The difficulty of successfully forming this yang meridian was far greater than any other yang meridian. Moreover, it required a fortuitous encounter and opportunity to form. He looked at the Chaos Origin bead. After forming a yang meridian and being devoured by the dragon bird and prehistoric inflammation, it had only consumed a third of its energy. Su Fang absorbed the scarlet bead into the Heaven and Earth Tao Palace and continued to fuse with the Chaos Origin Yang Qi to replenish the Yang Qi used to form a new Yang Meridian. Chapter 2003. It had been 100 years in the Time Immortals Cave, but only 10 years had passed in the outside world. P is almost equal to Su Fang recovered the Yang Qi in his body and left behind his blood and water clones to continue cultivating in the Cavern of Time. P is almost equal to his real body flew out of the Cavern of Time and left the mountain where he lived. He flew towards a mountain in the Xian area. P is almost equal to it turned out that Su Fang was going to meet Goddess Luo. No matter what, he couldn't let her divulge the origin sacred mirror. P is almost equal to, he landed in front of Goddess Luo's pavilion and saw a dozen young gods gathered in front of the pavilion. P is almost equal to the weakest of these young gods was at the fifth heaven of the divine emperor realm. They were all handsome and extraordinary. They were all elites from the sky martial divine realm and other divine realms. P is almost equal to seeing Su Fang. The others didn't have any reaction. However, a fair-skinned young elite's eyes suddenly became sharp and filled with hostility towards Su Fang. P is almost equal to, so it's him. P is almost equal to the mountain peak that Su Fang was currently residing in used to belong to this fair-skinned young god. P is almost equal to because of Su Fang, this young genius was kicked out. Naturally, he didn't have any good feelings towards Su Fang. P is almost equal to, here comes another toad. P is almost equal to the fair-skinned young genius snorted at Su Fang and provoked him without any scruples. P is almost equal to Su Fang ignored this fair-skinned prodigy, causing him to be snubbed. P is almost equal to a tall and slender young man with crimson hair walked to the front of the pavilion. P is almost equal to he cupped his fists and shouted, Feng Jinhuan of the Cloud Net Divine Realm is here to pay a visit. Please come out and meet Lady Luo. P is almost equal to seeing these young elites' glowing faces. Su Fang suddenly realized that they were all admirers of Goddess Luo. They were here to see her. P is almost equal to although Goddess Luo was hiding her cultivation level, her flawless face was enough to move any man's heart. It was not strange for so many young men to pursue her in the mini-sky realm. P is almost equal to Su Fang smiled and retreated to the side to wait. P is almost equal to for a long time, there was no response from the pavilion. P is almost equal to the young elite named Feng Jinhuan smiled confidently. P is almost equal to one of the prodigies behind her joined in the fun and shouted, Miss Luo, you still don't know the name of young Master Feng Jinhuan, right? Young Master Feng Jinhuan is the #1 divine prince of the Yunluo divine world, and he also possesses half of the divine phoenix clan's bloodline. If Miss Luo refuses to meet such a peerless genius, you're being too arrogant. P is almost equal to ancient divine phoenix clan bloodline? P is almost equal to Su Fang raised his eyebrows at the mention of the ancient divine phoenix clan. He used his perfection stage ability to sense Feng Jinhuan's aura. P is almost equal to sure enough, Su Fang sensed a pure divine phoenix aura from Feng Jinhuan's aura. He could vaguely see the shadow of a divine phoenix circling around him. P is almost equal to not only did Feng Jinhuan possess the divine phoenix clan's bloodline, he also cultivated the divine phoenix clan's cultivation method. His cultivation level was also very high, reaching the 6th sky of the divine emperor realm. P is almost equal to however, Su Fang sensed that Feng Jinhuan's aura was floating. It was obvious that he relied on his bloodline and the accumulation of various resources to achieve such a shocking cultivation level. He did not cultivate diligently, so his foundation was not stable. He was far inferior to the #1 divine prince of Sanskrit, Fan Hao. P is almost equal to there was still no response from the pavilion. Feng Jinhuan's handsome face showed anger as he said unhappily, My father is a peerless figure of the ancient divine Phoenix clan in the ancient divine world. His name is Feng Mingtian. I, Feng Jinhuan, am not an ordinary prodigy. Miss Luo, you won't even give me this little face? P is almost equal to Feng Mingtian? P is almost equal to Su Fang was startled. Why did this name sound so familiar? P is almost equal to after thinking for a while, Su Fang suddenly remembered who Feng Mingtian was. P is almost equal to Frozen Dream Immortal Elder. P is almost equal to Frozen Dream Immortal Elder was originally a spirit body of water and fire. Later, she was deceived by a divine being who came to the outside world to train. He cheated Frozen Dream Immortal Elder's primordial Een, causing Frozen Dream Immortal Elder's vitality to be greatly damaged. P is almost equal to this divine being was from the ancient divine Phoenix clan. His name was Feng Mingtian. P is almost equal to before Frozen Dream Immortal Elder died, she made a deal with Su Fang and gave her spirit body to Su Fang. After Su Fang ascended to the ancient divine world, he avenged her by killing Feng Mingtian. P is almost equal to ask the world, what is love? Thinking of Frozen Dream Immortal Elder's miserable and sorrowful voice before her consciousness disappeared, Su Fang's eyes gradually turned cold. P is almost equal to who would have thought that he would unexpectedly obtain news about Feng Mingtian in the lesser heaven realm, and even meet Feng Mingtian's son? P is almost equal to Su Fang sensed that his water true body was trembling slightly as he sensed a wave of resentment from the unseen world. P is almost equal to Frozen Dream Immortal Elder, although you have ulterior motives for Xuanxin, since I promised you something, I will not go back on my words. One day, I will definitely kill that despicable Feng Mingtian. P is almost equal to Su Fang suppressed the killing intent in his heart and looked at Feng Jinhuan indifferently. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan waited for a while, but there was still no response from Goddess Luo. P is almost equal to being looked at by so many geniuses. Feng Jinhuan couldn't help but become angry out of humiliation. He cursed in a low voice, shameless slut. P is almost equal to then. Feng Jinhuan led the geniuses away, but Su Fang came to the front of the pavilion. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan sneered. Where did this toad come from? Even this young master was refused entry. You want to win the heart of a beauty? P is almost equal to the fair-skinned genius sneered. Young Master Feng probably doesn't know, but this toad isn't simple. Young Master Tianwu thinks highly of him and arranged for him to live in the Earth-level area. He lives alone on a mountain and sits on the same level as young Master Feng. P is almost equal to which one of those living in the Earth-level area isn't the number one godchild of a great world? Peerless geniuses with high statuses. This person is only a fourth heavenly layer divine emperor. What qualifications does he have to sit on the same level as this young master? Do you think that just because young Master Tianwu thinks highly of you, you can make Miss Luo look at you differently? What a joke. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan sneered in disdain. Then, the geniuses stayed behind, waiting to see Su Fang suffer. P is almost equal to Su Fang came to the front of the pavilion and transmitted his Yuan spirit. Goddess Luo, how have you been? P is almost equal to there was a moment of silence. P is almost equal to the door of the pavilion flashed with a profound light and suddenly opened on its own. Su Fang strode into the pavilion. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan and the other geniuses were dumbfounded. P is almost equal to more than 100 years ago, when Goddess Luo moved into the Mi Tian realm, many geniuses caught a glimpse of her peerless beauty. They were all shocked and began to pursue her. P is almost equal to who knew that the geniuses would do everything they could to attract Goddess Luo's attention and win her favor. At first, Goddess Luo was perfunctory, but in the end, she closed the pavilion and didn't even let them see her face. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan was a playboy, and he was confident in his status and talent. He thought that Goddess Luo would meet him for the sake of the ancient divine Phoenix clan in the ancient god realm. But in the end, he was still rejected. P is almost equal to who would have thought that a toad that came out of nowhere could easily enter the pavilion. How could Feng Jinhuan and the other geniuses put their face? P is almost equal to, there will be a day when this lowly servant will make you, this young master, happy. And this toad, this young master will also make you suffer. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan left the pavilion with the other geniuses in anger. P is almost equal to Su Fang walked into the pavilion and sensed Goddess Luo's aura. He walked up to the second floor and saw Goddess Luo sitting in the middle of a room on the second floor. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo was still so ethereal and otherworldly, as if she didn't belong to this world. But her flawless face was pale, making people feel pity for her. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo's eyes were clear as she looked at Su Fang quietly. The number 1 Divine Prince of Xinglan on the Chaos Golden Roll, Su Fang, we finally meet again. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo, you seem to have not recovered from your injuries. I have a pill here that should be of some help to you. P is almost equal to when Fan Hao revealed Su Fang's identity at the St. Fan Pond. The news of Su Fang being on the Chaos Golden Roll had already spread. Now that Goddess Luo revealed Su Fang's background, Su Fang wasn't surprised. P is almost equal to, he took out a Creation Saint pill and it floated in front of Goddess Luo in a gust of Xian Guang. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo's lips curled into a faint smile. Divine Prince Su Fang, did you give me a pill to express your love for me like those lechers? P is almost equal to under Goddess Luo's clear gaze, Su Fang felt that he had no secrets to speak of. Even his heart was seen through by her. Su Fang had never felt this way when facing someone as strong as Zhu Yanjun. P is almost equal to even the life-shrinking technique couldn't fool her eyes. This made Su Fang feel a deep sense of dread towards her. He felt that Goddess Luo was unfathomable. Even if she was seriously injured, she definitely wouldn't be as weak as she looked. P is almost equal to Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. Goddess Luo, you must be joking. I am the toad they were talking about and you are the swan in the sky. Even if I admire you, how could I dare to profane you? P is almost equal to Goddess Luo held the Creation Saint pill in her hand and smiled faintly. The Creation Saint pill of infinite life is a supreme pill in all the realms. Divine Prince Su Fang gave me such a precious pill. If you don't want to pursue me, then what is the meaning of this? P is almost equal to Su Fang said, the reason I'm giving you the Creation Holy Pill is to thank you for saving me in the Brahma Sacred Pool back then. I also have a favor to ask of you. Please keep your mouth shut about everything that happened in the Brahma Sacred Pool. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo said faintly, if I don't agree, will you kill me to silence me? P is almost equal to Su Fang smiled bitterly. I don't kill women. Even if they are evil and ruthless, I won't kill them. P is almost equal to don't worry. What happened in the Brahma Saint Pond that day, including your supreme divine weapon, I won't tell anyone. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo said in a firm tone. P is almost equal to she continued, but I have a condition. If I have anything to ask of you in the future, don't refuse. P is almost equal to, as long as it is within Su Fang's ability, I will not refuse. P is almost equal to Su Fang cupped his fists and said. Then, he got up and left the pavilion. P is almost equal to, Su Fang, you are a very interesting genius. I hope you can grow as soon as possible. Perhaps one day, you can become my assistant. P is almost equal to Goddess Luo took out more than 10 pills. They were all Creation Saint pills. P is almost equal to then, Goddess Luo let out a heavy sigh. The depths of her eyes were no longer ethereal and otherworldly. Instead, they were filled with incomparable heaviness and loneliness. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2004. Su Fang left Goddess Luo's pavilion and returned to the mountain peak where he lived alone. P is almost equal to although it was only a verbal promise, Su Fang firmly believed that a woman like Goddess Luo wouldn't go back on her word. P is almost equal to moreover, it was meaningless for her to reveal what happened in the Brahma sacred pond and the origin sacred mirror to others. P is almost equal to arriving at the entrance of the palace. Su Fang was about to open the barrier at the entrance and enter the palace when he suddenly stopped. P is almost equal to who touched the seal and entered the palace? Su Fang's brows furrowed. P is almost equal to with his perfect vision. He could see that the barrier was broken and had been modified. It was clear that someone had entered the palace while he was away. P is almost equal to, it only took me an hour to leave the palace and go to Goddess Luo's place. Who entered my palace? Could it be that burglars broke in? P is almost equal to Su Fang was about to use the life-shrinking art to sense the remaining aura in the barrier. P is almost equal to more than 30 young gods flew towards the mountain peak and landed in front of the palace. P is almost equal to the fair-skinned young god and Feng Jinhuan stood in front. The others were peerless geniuses from other god realms. P is almost equal to Su Fang raised his eyebrows and vaguely guessed the purpose of these people. He asked coldly, "What can I do for you?" P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan ignored Su Fang and asked the fair-skinned god, "Pei Ran, are you sure your supreme treasure is in this palace?" P is almost equal to so this fair-skinned young genius was called Pei Ran. P is almost equal to Pei Ran released a small beast with golden fur that looked like a mouse. It sniffed a few times and squeaked at Pei Ran. P is almost equal to, "That's right," Pei Ran said decisively. "My gold-sniffing godrat can sense the aura of a supreme treasure. My supreme treasure, the divine sky-projecting wall, is in this palace." P is almost equal to hearing this. The corners of Su Fang's mouth curled into a sneer. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan asked, "Did you leave it in the palace?" P is almost equal to Pei Ran shook his head. "Impossible. Brother Feng should know that the divine heaven-projecting wall is a treasure for my cultivation. I usually keep it with me, so how could I lose it?" P is almost equal to, "That's strange. Since your treasure wasn't left in the palace, could it be that it ran into the palace on its own?" P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan looked at Su Fang with a smug sneer. P is almost equal to, "Of course, my treasures wouldn't have come to this palace by themselves. Instead, a thief appeared in the lesser heaven realm and stole my treasures." P is almost equal to Pei Ran smiled coldly. P is almost equal to then. He pointed at Su Fang and shouted rudely, "You shameless thief! How dare you steal this young master's supreme treasure when this young master is not here? Open the palace and hand over the treasure." P is almost equal to the geniuses behind Feng Jinhuan and Pei Ran yelled at Su Fang. P is almost equal to Su Fang's cold and embarrassed gaze swept across the crowd before finally landing on Pei Ran. "For the sake of your pride, you used such despicable means. Are you prepared to pay the corresponding price?" P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan shouted domineeringly, "Young Master Tianwu kindly took you in and treated you with respect. I didn't expect you to steal from the lesser heaven realm. This young master suspects that you're a bandit in disguise and snuck into the lesser heaven realm. Hand over your treasures and surrender." P is almost equal to a flame aura erupted from Feng Jinhuan's body and turned into a majestic and domineering divine phoenix. P is almost equal to a terrifying flame divine might that could burn the heavens and destroy the earth instantly enveloped Su Fang. It looked as if Su Fang had been swallowed by the divine phoenix. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan sneered in disdain. "This young master wants to see who you are and what qualifications you have to be valued by young Master Tianwu. Even that lowly servant thinks highly of you." P is almost equal to, "Young Master Feng is mighty." P is almost equal to Pei Ran and the other geniuses cheered loudly, trying to flatter Feng Jinhuan with endless flattery. P is almost equal to boom. P is almost equal to a flame erupted from Su Fang's body and turned into a cloud of fire, fusing with Feng Jinhuan's flame. P is almost equal to Su Fang's flame was the domineering 9-yang divine flame. He also used the illusory fire cloud to fuse with Feng Jinhuan's flame before controlling it in a domineering manner. P is almost equal to next, Su Fang's arms shook. With a whoosh, the cloud of fire engulfed the area. It was several times more terrifying than Feng Jinhuan's flame aura. P is almost equal to the complacent expression on Feng Jinhuan's face suddenly froze. The light in his eyes changed as he reached out to grab Pei Ran. A pair of flaming wings immediately sprung out from his back. As he flapped with all his might, he pulled Pei Ran into the air and dodged the fire clouds. P is almost equal to the 30 geniuses behind him were unlucky. They were engulfed by the cloud of fire. Just a moment ago they were laughing and cheering, but now they were screaming miserably. P is almost equal to fortunately, these geniuses were all God's sons that had been selected by their respective great worlds. All of them had extraordinary talents and powerful defensive treasures. In addition, Su Fang didn't really want to kill these geniuses. Some of them had their heads and eyebrows burned off by the illusory fire cloud. At most, they were burned, but they didn't suffer any serious injuries. P is almost equal to what an arrogant bandit, daring to be so arrogant in the lesser Sumeru realm. Suppress him. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan angrily roared as he swooped down from the sky with a terrifying flame aura. P is almost equal to at this time, a divine aura came from the lesser Sumer realm and separated Su Fang and Feng Jinhuan. P is almost equal to then a figure walked out of the void. Can the two of you stop for this young master's sake? P is almost equal to it was a young man in his early 20s. He had a rough face and a domineering aura. He had reached the 7th celestial layer of the godly emperor layer. P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu. P is almost equal to so young Master Tian Wu had come personally. P is almost equal to sensing young Master Tian Wu's qi. Su Fang was astonished. There really are many geniuses in the universe. Young Master Tian Wu is so young, but he's already so strong. He's even stronger than Fan Hao. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan cupped his fists at young Master Tian Wu. Who wouldn't give young Master Tian Wu face? But this person stole young Master Pei Ran's treasure. He's been caught red-handed. Young Master Tian Wu, please uphold justice. P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu said domineeringly. Young Master Pei Ran lost his treasure because I didn't manage it well. I gave the thief an opportunity. If young Master Pei lost his treasure, I'll pay for it. Everyone, let's not harm each other. P is almost equal to Su Fang looked at young Master Tian Wu in surprise. P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu was so straightforward. His methods and shrewdness were extraordinary. He was born to be an overlord. In the future, he would definitely become an extraordinary person. P is almost equal to but Pei Ran didn't want to give up. Young Master Tian Wu, my treasure is in this palace. The thief has already been caught red-handed. How can I ask young Master Tian Wu to pay for it? P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu's expression suddenly sank. P is almost equal to, how could Pei Ran's tricks fool young Master Tian Wu? He was just giving them face. He didn't hesitate to compensate them and give them a way out. P is almost equal to Pei Ran was still pestering Su Fang. Did he really think he had Su Fang under control? He really didn't know what was good for him. P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu said in a low voice, Young Master Pei, it was my negligence that caused you to suffer. I'm willing to apologize to you. If you continue to pester my guest, don't blame me for chasing you away. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect young Master Tian Wu to be so protective of Su Fang. He couldn't help but size up Su Fang and try to guess Su Fang's identity. P is almost equal to, since that's the case, I can only take a step back and ask him to hand over the divine sky acting annulus. Then, I won't be calculative with him. P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu had always been polite to others. Pei Ran didn't expect him to turn hostile at this moment. Pei Ran was also afraid and used this opportunity to give himself a way out. P is almost equal to Pei Ran wasn't a good-for-nothing. He was quite scheming. He was clearly trying to accuse Su Fong of stealing the treasure. P is almost equal to Divine Sky acting annulus? P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu raised his eyebrows. He clearly knew about this treasure. P is almost equal to looking at Su Fong, young Master Tian Wu said politely. Young Master Pei Ran moved out in a hurry and left the treasure in the palace. Why don't you return it intact? P is almost equal to young Master Tian Wu. Su Fong cupped his fists and nodded. P is almost equal to he then looked at Pei Ran and sneered. I just said that you would use such despicable means. Have you thought about the price you would have to pay? P is almost equal to Pei Ran sneered. You stole this young master's treasure and still dare to threaten me. How arrogant! If it weren't for young Master Tian Wu, this young master would have broken your arms and exposed your ugly deeds. I would have let everyone see the true face of a shameless thief like you. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan sneered. Now that you've been caught red-handed, do you still dare to quibble? P is almost equal to caught red-handed? Su Fong chuckled and cupped his fists towards young Master Tian Wu. Young Master Tian Wu, please be my witness. P is almost equal to with that, Su Fong suddenly formed a seal. A mysterious power of time spread out and enveloped the area around the entrance of the palace. P is almost equal to time flowed in reverse at this moment. Streaks of light flickered and changed, as if time was flowing in reverse. When the light stabilized, the scene that happened more than an hour ago appeared before everyone's eyes once again. P is almost equal to a figure landed at the entrance of the palace and cleverly broke a hole in the barrier of the palace. He then walked into the palace and came out after half an hour. P is almost equal to after resealing the barrier on the door, the person let out a smug laugh and left in embarrassment. P is almost equal to this person was Pei Ran. P is almost equal to young Master Pei Ran. Is this what you meant by caught red-handed? Su Fong shouted domineeringly. P is almost equal to the great Tao of time. P is almost equal to you're a disciple of the Ji people? P is almost equal to Pei Ran, Feng Jinhuan, and the other geniuses were all shocked. P is almost equal to in all the realms, everyone knew that the Ji people were proficient in the great Tao of time. Now that Su Fong used it, he was naturally mistaken for a disciple of the Ji people. P is almost equal to what shocked the other geniuses was that Su Fong could actually reverse time and reenact the events that happened. It was obvious how amazing his attainments in the great Tao of time were. P is almost equal to only young Master Tian Wu, who had clearly investigated Su Fong's background, did not show too much surprise. P is almost equal to Pei Ran, you said you were going to break my hands? P is almost equal to Su Fong sneered and took a step forward, appearing in front of Pei Ran. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2005. I didn't know you were a disciple of the Ji people. Please forgive me, young Master Ji. Please let me go this time. P is almost equal to Pei Ran thought he had offended a young master from the Ji people. He had kicked an iron plate. When he saw Su Fong, he panicked. P is almost equal to however, despite his panic, Pei Ran's strength was not to be underestimated. He grabbed the air and pulled out a lantern-like divine artifact. P is almost equal to the lantern floated above his head and quickly became bigger. A ball of fire appeared in the lantern and it released a terrifying fire energy which protected Pei Ran. P is almost equal to Pei Ran's blood, Qi, primordial spirit, and primordial spirit had all fused with the fire energy released by the lantern. It was as if the lantern's energy had all fused with his body. Naturally, he became stronger. P is almost equal to Pei Ran was originally a fourth sky godly emperor. Now, with the help of the divine weapon, His strength had reached the peak of the fourth sky godly emperor layer. P is almost equal to. It was obvious that the lantern-like divine weapon was a natal divine weapon. It had reached the peak of high quality. P is almost equal to. That was the difference between a natal divine weapon and an ordinary divine weapon. A natal divine weapon could become stronger as its owner grew stronger. It was like a part of the owner's body. Could be used at will. P is almost equal to boom. P is almost equal to. Su Fang's figure was pushed back by the power released by the lantern. P is almost equal to. Young Master Ji, I was blind. I didn't know who you were. I am willing to compensate you. P is almost equal to. When Pei Ran saw that Su Fang couldn't break through the defense of the natal divine weapon, he felt relieved. He quickly explained to Su Fang. P is almost equal to. Su Fang smiled embarrassedly. I'm not a disciple of the Ji people. You don't have to be so scared. P is almost equal to. You're not a young master of the Ji people? P is almost equal to. Pei Ran looked at Su Fang. P is almost equal to. Then he sneered disdainfully. Since you're not a young master of the Ji people, why should I be afraid of you? P is almost equal to. Young Master Tianwu said loudly. Pei Ran, you were in the wrong this time. You should lower your head and admit your mistake. This young master will be the peacemaker and let today's matter pass. P is almost equal to. Apologize to him? Pei Ran scoffed with disdain, and then he revealed a ruthless expression. Since you dared to make a move against this young master, then how could this young master swallow the insult? Young Master Tianwu, it's not that I don't want to give you face, but I lost face in front of him. I have to use my fists to get it back. P is almost equal to. Then Pei Ran struck out a hand seal to activate the lantern divine artifact. P is almost equal to Qi. Qi. P is almost equal to. The flame in the lantern burst into 3 flowers, which floated out from the lantern and quickly turned into 3 human-sized fiery shadows. They flickered and appeared in front of Su Fang. P is almost equal to. Although the god body couldn't feel any heat from the flaming aura of the 3 phantoms, his primordial spirit felt like it was being roasted in a furnace. It was a technique aimed at the primordial spirit. P is almost equal to. Young Master Su, be careful. Pei Ran's natal divine weapon is quite extraordinary. The fiery shadows released by it are not something ordinary divine weapons or divine abilities can defend against. P is almost equal to. Young Master Tianwu warned Su Fang loudly, but he didn't intend to help. P is almost equal to. Young Master Tianwu already knew Su Fang's identity, so he naturally knew that Pei Ran's attack wouldn't be much of a threat to Su Fang. P is almost equal to. In addition, he also wanted to see how powerful Su Fang, who was famous in this star field, was. P is almost equal to. You're courting death. P is almost equal to. Su Fang shouted coldly and domineeringly. Prehistoric inflammation instantly fused with his divine body, releasing a domineering and ancient divine flame aura. P is almost equal to. The phantoms formed by the 3 fiery shadows were instantly shattered by the domineering aura of prehistoric inflammation. P is almost equal to. The primeval earth flame itself had the powerful ability to burn all things and control them. P is almost equal to. In terms of the height of the flames, it was even more powerful than Su Fang's 9 yang divine fire. P is almost equal to. After devouring a large amount of primordial yang qi, prehistoric inflammation's power was more than 10 times stronger than before. It was enough to burn a 9th celestial layer godly emperor to death. P is almost equal to. Pei Ran's lantern divine weapons attack was strange, but how could it be compared to prehistoric inflammation? P is almost equal to. As soon as the aura of prehistoric inflammation was released by Su Fang, not only were the 3 fiery shadows shattered, but the divine flame aura released by Pei Ran's lantern divine weapon was also suppressed to the point that it shrank by more than half. P is almost equal to. Huff P and Su Fang used fire cloud steps and fire cloud wings. He swept out like a fire cloud and instantly arrived in front of Pei Ran. P is almost equal to. What are you doing? P is almost equal to Pei Ran's divine light changed instantly. He was about to activate his natal divine weapon to release a powerful aura. P is almost equal to, you dare to take out a lousy lantern and embarrass yourself? P is almost equal to Su Fang sneered disdainfully. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the lantern. A mysterious purple chi surged in his palm. A terrifying divine might that could control the world covered the lantern and Pei ran. P is almost equal to. It turned out that Su Fang used the purple chi Dharma spirit's incredible ability to control divine weapons. He wanted to control Pei Ran's natal divine weapon. P is almost equal to the purple chi Dharma spirit had devoured a large amount of great pregnant purple chi in Kuan Su's divine sect. It had transformed and now had the ability to control the heavenly Tao. P is almost equal to under the purple chi Dharma spirit's divine might. Not only did the lantern divine weapon tremble, but even Pei Ran felt that his ability to communicate with the heavenly Tao was suppressed. The heavenly Tao even rejected him. P is almost equal to, what kind of magic is this? P is almost equal to. Pei Ran was shocked. He had never heard of such a shocking divine ability before. P is almost equal to buzz. 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 The lantern divine weapon trembled. In the end, it couldn't resist the purple chi Dharma spirit's divine might and was swept up by the purple chi. In the end, it was absorbed by Su Fang. P is almost equal to, my natal divine weapon, Pei Ran shouted angrily. He kept changing his hand seals. Like flowers blooming in brocade, he gritted his teeth and charged toward Su Fang with the aura of the great Tao of fire. P is almost equal to boom. P is almost equal to. Su Fang activated prehistoric inflammation and punched out. P is almost equal to. Pei Ran's seemingly extravagant magic was destroyed layer by layer under the power of Su Fang's punch. He was also sent flying. P is almost equal to. His divine body's defense was shattered. The power of prehistoric inflammation vented on his body and ignited a layer of flames. P is almost equal to ZZZ/P and APA layer of wave-like brilliance appeared on Pei Ran's body. As it flashed, the power of prehistoric inflammation was eliminated. P is almost equal to, you have a lot of treasures. Unfortunately, I can't save you. P is almost equal to. Su Fang shouted domineeringly. Blood energy surged in his right hand. He grabbed at the air and released the power of reincarnation and devouring, grabbing Pei Ran. P is almost equal to. Then, Su Fang reached out and grabbed Pei Ran's neck. He said coldly and embarrassedly, I have no enmity with you. You just wanted to frame me because you lost face. Even if I kill you now, you have nothing to say. P is almost equal to. Four geniuses of noble birth like Pei Ran and Feng Jinhuan. Face was sometimes more important than life. For face, they could risk their lives. P is almost equal to, if you dare to kill Pei Ran, wait for Diding Realm's crazy revenge. Feng Jinhuan threatened loudly. P is almost equal to. Su Fang's cold gaze swept over Feng Jinhuan. His heart was filled with killing intent. Pei Ran had framed Su Fang, so it was obvious that he had ordered him to do so. Now that he had threatened Su Fang, it seemed like he wanted to save Pei Ran, but in fact, he wanted to provoke Su Fang into killing Pei Ran, so that Su Fang would have the Dipankra divine realm as his enemy. P is almost equal to. This person's vicious mind was clear. P is almost equal to. Su Fang snorted and revealed a mocking expression. I'm really afraid of Diding Realm's revenge. I don't dare to kill him. P is almost equal to. Then, Su Fang let go of Pei Ran, surprising everyone. P is almost equal to. Pei Ran was about to say a few harsh words to regain his face when young Master Tianwu laughed. Young Master Su Fang really likes to joke. Kamiko Hoshino can penetrate metal and stone. Ji People's young Master Su Fang killed Ji Xingyue without hesitation. You even dared to go against Sanskrit's Shinja Tianjun. Why wouldn't you dare to kill him? P is almost equal to. Su Fang? P is almost equal to. Kamiko Hoshino, Su Fang on the Origin Golden List? P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan, and the other geniuses' expressions changed when they heard this. P is almost equal to Pei Ran's eyes flashed with shock, and then his face turned pale with a whoosh. P is almost equal to, I didn't think that I would have such a great reputation. P is almost equal to Su Feng wasn't surprised that young Master Tianwu recognized Su Feng's identity. After all, young Master Tianwu was friends with everyone. Su Feng's name on the Origin Golden List and his enmity with Sanskrit had long spread in this star field. It wasn't difficult to find a portrait of Su Feng. P is almost equal to what Su Feng didn't expect was that his reputation would be so great, and that it would have such a deterrent effect. P is almost equal to Su Feng didn't realize how powerful the Sanskrit and Ji people were. Sanskrit's Shinja Tianjun killed his way to the star below divine realm, but couldn't do anything to Su Feng. Ji people's young master Ji Xingyue died, and people speculated that Su Feng killed him. P is almost equal to with the protection of the Origin Golden List. He didn't fear the Sanskrit and Ji people. Who would dare to provoke such a peerless genius? P is almost equal to at this moment, Pei Ran felt like he had kicked an iron plate. No, he felt like he had bumped into a mountain. He actually framed Su Feng. He felt like a rabbit running in front of a tiger and trying to pull out the tiger's teeth. P is almost equal to Pei Ran cried, Young Master Su Feng, this young master. I was blind and didn't expect, young Master Tianwu said. What kind of person is Su Feng? Why would he lower himself to your level? Why aren't you leaving? P is almost equal to Pei Ran hurriedly left the mountain, as if he had been pardoned. He didn't even dare to ask Su Feng for his natal divine weapon. The other geniuses were also filled with shock and awe. Of course, there were some who weren't convinced and left. P is almost equal to Su Feng? This young master has long heard of your name. I hope to have a chance to spar with you. Feng Jinhuan glanced at Su Feng with disdain and revealed a challenging expression. P is almost equal to you'll have plenty of chances to compete with the godchild of the starfield. Su Feng said coldly. P is almost equal to I hope you won't disappoint this young master. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan said domineeringly, and then floated away. P is almost equal to young Master Tianwu looked at Feng Jinhuan's back and reminded Su Feng, Young Master Su Feng, you must be careful of this person. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan's strength is extraordinary. Unfortunately, his temperament is lacking. Thank you for your reminder, young Master Tianwu. I also thank young Master for saving me. Su Feng cupped his fists towards young Master Tianwu. P is almost equal to after conversing with young Master Tianwu, Su Feng declined young Master Tianwu's invitation and returned to his palace. P is almost equal to in Su Feng's cultivation room, Su Feng indeed found a divine weapon. P is almost equal to it was a white jade that floated in the middle of the room. It emitted a white xian guang and reflected a blurry light. P is almost equal to divine sky acting wall. P is almost equal to peak divine weapon. P is almost equal to from the aura of the divine sky acting wall. Su Feng determined the quality of this treasure and his eyes lit up. P is almost equal to P and AP. The divine sky acting wall buzzed and the xian guang flashed and wanted to leave the cultivation room. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2006. Wouldn't it be a joke if I let you escape from under my nose? P is almost equal to Su Feng had too many means of subduing magic treasures. The divine life shrinking technique and the Hunyuan sacred mirror could make magic treasures surrender, not to mention the purple qi magic spirit. P is almost equal to a gust of purple qi swept out. P is almost equal to under the supreme divine power of the purple qi magic spirit controlling the magic treasure, the divine sky projecting wall trembled and was obediently taken into Su Feng's hands. P is almost equal to then Su Feng erased the blood qi that had fused with the magic treasure. P is almost equal to Pei Ran's cultivation was obviously not enough, and he obviously did not put much thought into this magic treasure. He had only fused less than 1/10 of it. Su Fang activated the Hunyuan sacred mirror and released a 9-yang true fire, which easily burned all the blood qi. P is almost equal to divine sky projecting wall's original spirit. P is almost equal to Su Fang's yang spirit entered the magic treasure world of the divine sky projecting wall. P is almost equal to what a strange divine artifact. P is almost equal to sensing the aura of the divine sky projecting wall. Su Fang was surprised. P is almost equal to unlike the inner worlds of other magic treasures, the magic treasure world of the divine sky projecting wall was very strange. P is almost equal to mysterious and vast divine formations, most of which were naturally bred, formed the magic treasure space, reflecting mysterious scenes and exuding the endless ancient aura of the great Tao. P is almost equal to this kind of aura, only a divine weapon of creation had, but it appeared on a peak best grade divine weapon, which was really strange. P is almost equal to greetings, Master. P is almost equal to a figure condensed from white crystal light appeared in front of Su Fang's yang spirit. P is almost equal to, let me ask you, what power do you have? It doesn't seem to be just a simple peak best grade magic treasure, Su Fang asked. P is almost equal to, I was born from the chaos when heaven and earth were created. I don't have any special abilities. P is almost equal to, like a divine weapon of creation, you were born from the chaos, but you don't have the powerful power of a divine weapon of creation. You are quite sad. P is almost equal to Su Fang's words made the original spirit of the heaven-playing divine wall feel sad. P is almost equal to Su Fang continued, everything is born with a purpose. Since you were born from the chaos, even if you don't have the extraordinary power of other divine weapons of creation, you must have other uses. P is almost equal to the primordial spirit of the heaven-acting divine wall said gratefully, I'm born to be useful? Master, you've hit the nail on the head. I couldn't release any powerful energy, so I was treated as a decoration. Later, I met a powerful human cultivator who modified me, giving me abilities that no other divine tool of creation had. P is almost equal to, oh? What is your ability? P is almost equal to, I have the ability to copy images, and it's not just a simple copy. I can copy any powerful divine ability, even the divine might of heaven and earth. This includes the aura of the divine ability, the laws of operation, and the evolution process of the divine might of heaven and earth. I can copy them all as if they were real, for Master to comprehend and cultivate. I can also transform into Master's enemy, and use the enemy's divine arts to fight Master, increasing Master's combat ability. P is almost equal to, oh? You actually have such a strange ability? P is almost equal to the strange ability of the divine sky acting wall reminded Su Fang of the divine image jade wall he obtained in the small world. The two were somewhat similar. P is almost equal to, however, the divine sky acting wall was even more heaven-defying. P is almost equal to copying divine abilities, and the divine might of heaven and earth seemed simple, but in fact it wasn't. P is almost equal to the Chamber of Commerce also sold and stored images of divine abilities, or the divine might of heaven for cultivators to cultivate and comprehend. However, it could only be seen, and it was difficult to fully display the great Tao aura. P is almost equal to the ability described by the divine sky acting wall's original spirit was obviously not a simple recording. P is almost equal to the divine sky acting wall could also transform into enemies, which had unimaginable benefits for enhancing a cultivator's combat ability. P is almost equal to imagine if Su Fang used the divine sky acting wall to copy the scene of Xinjia Tianjuan's actual combat divine ability. P is almost equal to then he could transform into Xinjia Tianjun and fight with him. It would be easy to find his weaknesses and flaws, and experience would also be accumulated invisibly. P is almost equal to when it came to a real confrontation with him, he would naturally have the upper hand. P is almost equal to when Su Fang's cultivation reached a certain height, it was not impossible for him to even kill him. P is almost equal to although the divine sky acting wall couldn't burst out powerful power, such a strange ability would be of great help to a cultivator's cultivation. It was simply unimaginable. P is almost equal to Su Fang asked in surprise, since you have such a strange ability, why did Pei Ran frame me as if you were stolen goods? He obviously didn't take you seriously. P is almost equal to the divine sky acting wall's original spirit showed an anthropomorphic wry smile. My previous master, Pei Ran, had integrated less than 1/10 of the divine sky acting wall. Moreover, this person was originally a dandy. He liked ease and hated work. Usually, except for using me to transform into enemies to vent, he didn't use me to cultivate, so he didn't value me. P is almost equal to, Pei Ran sat on such a strange treasure, but he didn't make use of it. He was really a dandy. Su Fang shook his head for a while and laughed involuntarily, but this just happened to benefit me. You can rest assured that since I have become your master, I will definitely let you bloom with the brilliance you deserve. P is almost equal to, thank you, master. P is almost equal to the divine sky acting wall's original spirit showed a happy expression. P is almost equal to then it said full of awe, Master, what is the magic treasure that can release the mysterious purple chi? It's so beautiful that even I have to submit to it? However, this purple chi also has great benefits for me. If Master can let me bathe in this chi often in the future, my spirituality will greatly increase. P is almost equal to, that's one of my supreme spiritual treasures. It's called the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit. It's not just a magic treasure like yours. When it grows to a high enough level, it can even control the heavenly Tao, let alone a divine creation artifact that was born from heaven and earth. P is almost equal to Su Fang's words shocked the divine sky acting wall's original spirit. P is almost equal to next, in addition to cultivation, Su Fang also began to integrate the divine sky acting wall and the sky covering star flag at the same time. P is almost equal to the star field divine sun competition was not far away. This time, the competition would gather the peerless geniuses of the entire star field. The competition could be imagined how fierce it would be. P is almost equal to with Su Fang's current strength, even if he used all kinds of magic skills. He dared not say that he would be able to win the star field divine sun competition. P is almost equal to in terms of cultivation, Su Fang was unlikely to improve too much in a short time, but real strength was not only cultivation, but also magic skills and divine artifacts. P is almost equal to Su Fang had mastered many supreme magic skills, so he naturally would not be greedy. The next focus would be on divine artifact. P is almost equal to the 3 divine artifacts given to Su Fang by the 3 divine kings, the flying divine artifact, the earth-moving boots, and the silver sword, could be used against ordinary opponents, but against high-level divine emperors, it seemed a little difficult. In the star field divine sun competition, the opponents Su Fang would face would definitely be high-level divine emperors. P is almost equal to the Xianming Thunder Archive, and the Underworld Samsara sword were extremely powerful, and the natal magic weapon Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda had also absorbed a lot of chaos origin aura, and its quality had reached the peak of the middle grade. It was still an important magic weapon for Su Fang. P is almost equal to some of the new magic weapons, the frost sealing heaven and earth, were very powerful. In addition, the divine sky acting wall, although it could not burst out any powerful power, was of great help to Su Fang's cultivation. P is almost equal to the sky covering star flag was temporarily useless, and he did not even dare to expose it. P is almost equal to as for the natal divine artifact he had taken from Pei Ran, Su Fang did not have much use for it, but it was not completely useless. At the very least, it could be used by the purple aura magic spirit to devour the purple aura magic spirit. P is almost equal to about 200 years later. P is almost equal to young Master Tianwu's small Sumeru realm flew domineeringly through the primal chaos void at an astonishing speed. Finally, it flew out of the primal chaos void and entered the range of the divine world's power. P is almost equal to everyone in the small Sumeru realm changed to flying divine artifacts and flew towards the divine world. P is almost equal to young Master Tianwu specially invited Su Fang to ride in a luxurious carriage that was 3,000 meters long. They traveled through the primal chaos void, and the scenery of the divine world was unobstructed. P is almost equal to the divine world of the Green Dome. P is almost equal to it looked like layers of domes, and there were a total of 9 layers of the divine world. There were azure world barriers and barriers separating them, forming the divine world of the Green Dome. P is almost equal to the 9 layers of domes were surrounded by colorful nebulas, looking mysterious and gorgeous. P is almost equal to the Star Billow Divine World, the Heavenly Martial World, the Dipankar Divine World, and many other great worlds were located in the Green Dome starfield. The Green Dome starfield's name came from the Divine World. P is almost equal to when they approached the divine world of the Green Dome, Su Fang realized that every layer of the divine world was actually made up of small worlds and material territories. The bigger ones were more than 10 times bigger than Kuan Su's divine world, and the smaller ones were hundreds of thousands of li in size. P is almost equal to with so many small worlds and material territories, only one layer of the divine world of the Green Dome was formed. It was obvious how big the divine world was. Even a divine emperor realm true god, who was considered an expert in the myriad of worlds, would need tens of thousands of years to fly around the divine world on a flying sword. P is almost equal to, moreover, the entire divine world of the Green Dome, including the small worlds and material territories, was not formed naturally. It was created by a peerless expert using a peerless divine ability. P is almost equal to after seeing the cultivation civilization of the divine world and hearing young Master Tianwu's introduction, Su Fang was shocked. He felt that his strength was insignificant. P is almost equal to Brother Su, when the God-Child competition begins, I look forward to fighting with you, a peerless genius on the Primal Chaos Golden ranking. Don't decline at that time. P is almost equal to young Master Tianwu said to Su Fang when they were about to arrive at the divine world of the Green Dome after a month. His eyes were filled with a strong battle intent. It was a battle intent that yearned to fight with a genius. There was no hint of provocation. P is almost equal to young Master Tianwu was a forthright person. In just a month, he had already become brothers with Su Fang. He didn't care about his status at all. P is almost equal to Su Fang also had a good impression of people like young Master Tianwu. He nodded and said, cultivators can only climb to the peak by constantly fighting with experts. I also look forward to fighting with experts like young Master Tianwu. P is almost equal to Su Fang and young Master Tianwu looked at each other and laughed. They both appreciated each other's talent. P is almost equal to the chariot flew to the 7th layer of the divine world of the Green Dome and entered a small world. Su Fang bid farewell to young Master Tianwu and went through the world-crossing stargate to arrive at a large world in the center of the 7th layer. P is almost equal to they arrived at the divine capital. P is almost equal to only then did Su Fang realize that the divine capital was already overcrowded. A lone cultivator like him couldn't even find a place to stay. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2007. The Star-Field God-Child competition this time was a rare event in the entire Star-Field. P is almost equal to now that the competition was about to start, not only the 9 great worlds of the Green Dome Divine Realm, but also the small worlds around the great worlds were filled with people. P is almost equal to after asking around, Su Fang found out that the god-children of the various great worlds who were participating in the Star-Field God-Child competition all lived on the uppermost 9th floor. P is almost equal to through the space array. He passed through the world barrier and arrived at the 9th floor. P is almost equal to after checking his identity. The Green Dome Divine Realm Cultivator gave Su Fang a token. P is almost equal to somehow. Su Fang felt a force guiding him as he flew across the mountains and finally arrived at a mountain peak. P is almost equal to this was the place specially used to receive the god-children of the various great worlds. People came and went, and they were all geniuses from various great worlds. P is almost equal to after Su Fang entered the palace. He took out the token and handed it to a middle-aged manager of the Green Dome Divine Realm. P is almost equal to Kamiko Hoshino, Su Fang? P is almost equal to the middle-aged manager checked the token and didn't even look at Su Fang. P is almost equal to obviously. He didn't know Su Fang's identity. P is almost equal to it wasn't surprising. The news of Su Fang being listed on the Chaos Golden List was only spread among the upper echelons and geniuses of the various god realms. Low-level gods like this middle-aged manager weren't very clear about it. They didn't even know what the Chaos Golden List was. P is almost equal to Su Fang came from the Star Billow Divine Realm, which was a mid-lower great world in the Green Dome Divine Realm. It wasn't strange that this middle-aged manager didn't know his name. P is almost equal to the middle-aged manager flipped his hand and threw out a Xian Guang. It transformed into the illusion of a mountain range. P is almost equal to in the illusion of the mountain range, one could faintly see densely packed cave dwellings. Those that lit up with red dots meant that they were occupied, while the others were unoccupied. P is almost equal to almost all of the cave dwellings on the mountain range lit up with red dot. They were occupied by the god-children of the various god realms. Only the foot of the mountain was left unoccupied. P is almost equal to, this mountain is called Godchild Mountain. It was created by a supreme expert of the Blue Dome Divine Realm, specifically for the godchildren to participate in the competition. Because the competition lasts for a long time, the cave abodes on the Divine Sun Mountain are not only used as residences for the participating Divine Sons, but also for cultivation. P is almost equal to, the higher the mountain, the better the environment for cultivation and living. The best place is naturally the mountain peak. Not only is the space of the cave larger than other caves, but it is also filled with natural spiritual chi. Furthermore, there are all sorts of benefits that only great realm lords can enjoy. P is almost equal to only the number 1 godchild of the Blue Dome Divine Realm, who is ranked in the top 100 great realms, can live in a cave abode at the peak of the mountain. Your Star Billow God Realm is ranked in the middle of the Blue Dome Divine Realm, so you naturally don't have the qualifications to live in the cave abodes at the peak of the mountain. You can choose any of the uninhabited caves below. P is almost equal to the middle-aged steward gave a brief introduction. P is almost equal to, let's do it here. P is almost equal to Su Fang casually pointed to an immortal's cave at the foot of a mountain without any light. P is almost equal to the steward picked up Su Fang's token and was about to imprint the immortal's cave abode number on it. P is almost equal to a domineering voice came from behind. This young master wants this immortal's cave abode. P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan. P is almost equal to Su Fang's brows furrowed. He didn't expect to meet Feng Jin Huan here. P is almost equal to, so it's young Master Feng. P is almost equal to the steward of the Blue Dome Divine Realm actually cupped his fists and bowed to Feng Jin Huan with a fawning expression. P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan asked, "You know this young master?" P is almost equal to the steward hurriedly said, "Young Master Feng is the number 1 divine son of the Blue Dome Divine Realm. This one's surname is Du and I come from a cultivation family in the Blue Dome Divine Realm. How could I not know young Master Feng? P is almost equal to Du family? This young master will remember." Feng Jin Huan nodded and pointed to the immortal's cave abode Su Fang had chosen. This immortal's cave abode is mine. P is almost equal to Steward Du said. Young Master Feng naturally has the qualifications to live in the immortal's cave abode at the peak of the mountain. What's the use of this immortal's cave abode at the bottom of the mountain? P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan glanced at Su Fang and revealed a mocking expression. This young master wants this immortal's cave abode for my Blue Dome Divine Realm's divine son. P is almost equal to, of course you can. Steward Du nodded repeatedly. P is almost equal to then he said to Su Fang. This immortal's cave abode has been chosen by young Master Feng. You can choose another one. P is almost equal to Su Fang smiled faintly and casually pointed to another immortal's cave abode. P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan then said domineeringly, this young master also wants this immortal's cave abode. P is almost equal to only then did the steward realize that Feng Jin Huan was clearly trying to make things difficult for Su Fang. P is almost equal to Su Fang then chose 3 more immortals' cave abodes, all of which were taken by Feng Jin Huan. P is almost equal to Su Fang, don't you like to take other people's things? Today, this young master will let you have a taste of having your immortal's cave abode taken by someone else. P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan snorted domineeringly. He was very proud and arrogant. P is almost equal to Su Fang looked at the steward and said indifferently, Sir, please arrange a place for this one. P is almost equal to Steward Du glanced at Feng Jin Huan's expression and revealed an awkward expression. It seems Godchild Mountain can't accommodate you. How about this seat find another place for you to stay? However, you'll have to suffer a bit. That place is where the servants of the Blue Dome Divine Realm live. P is almost equal to Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness. Where the servants live. P is almost equal to Steward Du revealed a helpless expression. If you don't want to stay, then this seat can't do anything about it. P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan sneered. Su Fang, so what if you're on the Chaos Golden ranking? In Godchild Mountain, this young master lives in the best place and enjoys the best treatment. As for you, a single word from this young master can make you lose your footing. P is almost equal to there were many geniuses in the palace who came to handle matters. They were all godchildren from various divine realms. P is almost equal to after learning about Su Fang's identity, they were all shocked and surprised. P is almost equal to however, seeing Su Fang being humiliated by Feng Jin Huan in such a domineering manner, the geniuses from the various god realms all looked at Su Fang with eyes full of contempt and disdain, as if saying, you're just SOSO. P is almost equal to right at this moment. P is almost equal to a powerful and domineering sensing force swept across the palace. P is almost equal to many godchildren from various great realms, including Su Fang and Feng Jin Huan, felt their souls tremble. They all trembled and a layer of cold seeped out from their backs. P is almost equal to in the next moment. P is almost equal to a nascent spirit was transmitted and appeared in the palace, condensing into a nascent spirit shadow. P is almost equal to it was just a nascent spirit shadow, but as soon as it appeared, it immediately formed a terrifying pressure that made everyone in the palace feel suffocated. P is almost equal to Manager Du hurriedly knelt down. Greetings, Lord Heavenly Lord. P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun. P is almost equal to it was one of the 3 heavenly lords of the Blue Dome star field, Zhu Yanjun. P is almost equal to the other geniuses also followed suit and bowed. P is almost equal to Brat, since you've come to the Blue Dome Divine Realm, why don't you pay me a visit? If it wasn't for that junior from the Sky Martial Divine Realm, I wouldn't have known that you've come to the Blue Dome Divine Realm. Zhu Yanjun looked at Su Fang and said majestically. P is almost equal to Feng Jin Huan was standing at an angle that just happened to block Su Fang, so he naturally thought that Zhu Yanjun was talking to him. P is almost equal to how glorious was it to be valued by Zhu Yanjun and have her nascent spirit personally descend? P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan was so excited that his face flushed red. He hurriedly replied respectfully, "This junior didn't know that senior was friends with the ancient divine Phoenix clan, so I didn't dare to pay you a visit." P is almost equal to ancient divine Phoenix clan? Zhu Yanjun's primordial spirit's shadow frowned. "Since when have I been acquainted with those arrogant people of the ancient divine Phoenix clan?" P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan was shocked when he heard the disdain in Zhu Yanjun's tone towards the ancient divine Phoenix clan. He naturally thought that Zhu Yanjun was treating him like this because he was from the ancient divine Phoenix clan, but it seemed that wasn't the case. P is almost equal to, where did this rude junior come from? Move aside. P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun's nascent spirit shadow swept past Feng Jinhuan, and an invisible force swept him aside. P is almost equal to, although Feng Jinhuan's strength was extraordinary, he was as weak as a chicken in front of Zhu Yanjun, a peerless expert from the star field. He stumbled and almost fell to the ground. P is almost equal to only then did he realize that he was imagining things. Zhu Yanjun wasn't talking to him at all. P is almost equal to Su Fang cupped his fists towards Zhu Yanjun's nascent spirit shadow and said, "This junior wanted to visit the heavenly monarch and Lord Qishao Shinjun after staying here." P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun and Qishao Shinjun had presided over the Kamiko Hoshino competition and selected Su Fang as the #1 God's child. It could be said that Su Fang was indebted to them for recognizing his worth. This time, Su Fang naturally had to pay his respects to such an expert. P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun's nascent spirit shadow nodded. "If you're not used to living on the Godchild Mountain, you can stay in my training hall." P is almost equal to when Manager Du heard the conversation between Zhu Yanjun and Su Fang, he was scared out of his wits. Afraid that Su Fang would expose him, he hurriedly interjected, "Heavenly Monarch, please rest assured. This junior has arranged the best cave residence on the Godchild Mountain for God's child Su Fang." P is almost equal to Su Fang was startled, then revealed a faint smile. "Manager, didn't you say that I'm not qualified to live on the mountain peak?" P is almost equal to a layer of sweat appeared on Manager Du's forehead. "God's child Su Fang, what kind of status do you have? God's child can choose any cave residence on the mountain peak." P is almost equal to, since that's the case, this junior won't be polite. Su Fang smiled faintly and pointed at Feng Jinhuan. "This person's cave residence is very good. I'll stay there." P is almost equal to, this, Manager Du was still hesitating. P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun's nascent spirit shadow released a cold gaze and swept over Manager Du. P is almost equal to, what kind of person was she? Naturally, she saw some clues. However, with her status, she wouldn't care about such a trivial matter. P is almost equal to Manager Du suddenly felt cold all over, as if he had suddenly fallen into an ice field. He hurriedly agreed, "This junior will arrange it right away. I guarantee that God's child Su Fang will be satisfied." P is almost equal to, "Su Fang, when you've settled down, come to my place. There are 2 big shots from all over the universe. You know them and they want to see you." P is almost equal to when Zhu Yanjun nodded, her nascent spirit shadow disappeared into nothingness. P is almost equal to swish. Swish. P is almost equal to gazes filled with envy and jealousy fell on Su Fang one after another. P is almost equal to Su Fang looked at Manager Du. "Manager, I want to live in the cave residence in the time it takes for an incense stick to burn." P is almost equal to Manager Du braced himself and said to Feng Jinhuan, "Young Master Feng, this. I'll have to trouble young Master Feng." P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan's handsome face was distorted. A layer of flames floated above his red head. He was obviously angry and humiliated to the extreme. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2008. Steward Du personally brought Su Fang to the peak of the mountain, all the way to Feng Jinhuan's abode. P is almost equal to. Although Feng Jinhuan was angry and unwilling, he could only grit his teeth and leave the abode, giving Su Feng the token to open the abode. P is almost equal to. Su Feng opened the abode with the token and entered. P is almost equal to. The abode on Shenxi Mountain was not an ordinary abode, but a world created by a supreme ability combined with a formation. P is almost equal to. As soon as Su Feng entered the abode, he was immediately drawn into the world by a twisting divine power. P is almost equal to. The power of time and space made Su Feng dizzy and his blood and qi surged. It took him more than 10 breaths to adjust. P is almost equal to. The power of the great perfection stage swept across. P is almost equal to. The world inside the abode was hundreds of miles large, and the natural spiritual qi of heaven and earth was incomparably abundant. Su Feng had never seen such a good cultivation environment after ascending to the great perfection stage. P is almost equal to. What shocked Su Feng in particular was that the flow of time in the world was obviously much slower than the outside world. P is almost equal to. Su Feng estimated. P is almost equal to. The flow of time in the world inside the abode was almost 30 times slower than the outside world. P is almost equal to. This also meant that if Su Feng cultivated in the abode for 30 years, only 1 year would have passed in the outside world. P is almost equal to. The abode on the peak of Shenxi Mountain is even more powerful than my time abode. P is almost equal to. Su Feng was shocked and pleasantly surprised. P is almost equal to. As for Su Feng's time Immortal's Cave, the difference in the flow of time was only 10 times. Moreover, the area of this Immortal's Cave was pitifully small. P is almost equal to. My cavern of time was created by my master, Shu Yunkong, using the great Tao of time. His strength is equivalent to the world overlord of a small world. P is almost equal to, and this abode was at least created by a peerless powerhouse of Zhu Yanjun's level. It's not surprising that there is such a big difference between the two. P is almost equal to. Su Feng was shocked and came to a palace in the center of the world. P is almost equal to. The palace was extremely spacious and could accommodate 100 people. Not only were there all kinds of cultivation and living necessities, but there were also 1,000,000 mid-grade divine essence pills, other medicinal pills, and various cultivation resources. P is almost equal to. It was indeed the best cave abode on the divine Sun Mountain. The cultivation environment and the treatment one could enjoy were incomparable to other cave abodes. P is almost equal to. He released Bai Ling, Qingyu, and the other big goblin experts, gave them pills and resources, and told them to find a place to cultivate. P is almost equal to. Su Feng took a bath, changed his clothes, burned incense, and adjusted his spirit to its peak state. P is almost equal to. It's time to meet Zhu Yanjun. The big shots she mentioned should be Mo Tiangong and Xing Wuji. They'll definitely show up at the Chosen's battle. P is almost equal to. Mo Tiangong promised to help me forge my natal relic. It should be almost done. I wonder how amazing the natal divine artifact that this top-notch master artifact in the universe has forged for me will be? P is almost equal to. Su Feng left the cave abode with anticipation. P is almost equal to. My lord, I've been summoned by Lord Zhu Yanjun. Please lead the way. P is almost equal to. The 9th level of the Divine Sun Mountain was the place where the power of the Divine Sun Mountain gathered. Naturally, a foreign cultivator like Su Feng wouldn't be allowed to barge in. Su Feng found the gods of the Divine Sun Mountain. P is almost equal to. You're too polite, Divine Sun Su Feng. Please follow me. P is almost equal to. The news of Feng Jinhuan's cave abode being occupied by Su Feng had already spread on the Divine Sun Mountain. The gods of the Divine Sun Mountain naturally knew that Su Feng and Zhu Yanjun had a special relationship. They immediately took Su Feng to the secret realm where Zhu Yanjun lived. P is almost equal to. They flew toward the depths of the 9th level of the Divine Sun Mountain. They flew across the vast and ancient continent, passed through layers of barriers, arrays, and strict checks, and finally arrived at a valley surrounded by clouds. P is almost equal to Divine Sun Su Fang. Lord Zhu Yanjun's secret realm is here. I can't enter. Divine Sun, please go ahead. The gods of the Divine Sun Mountain brought Su Fang to the entrance of the valley, then bid farewell and left. P is almost equal to Lord Heavenly Monarch, Su Fang greets you. P is almost equal to Su Fang transmitted his thoughts to the depths of the valley. P is almost equal to come in. P is almost equal to a moment later, Zhu Yanjun's primordial spirit transmitted over. P is almost equal to then, the qi at the entrance of the valley rolled and condensed into a door. It was a spatial array door. P is almost equal to Su Fang entered the door and was enveloped by the power of space. After a strange feeling of traveling through time, Su Fang appeared in another world. P is almost equal to this place was similar to the cave abode on the Divine Sun Mountain, but the area was countless times larger. The aura of this world was obviously different from the outside world. Even the laws were slightly different. It was similar to the chaos ruins of Kuan Su's Divine Sun Mountain. P is almost equal to, however, this chaos world was not only bigger than the chaos ruins, but its aura was also purer. P is almost equal to the chaos world was an ancient period after the creation of heaven and earth and before the birth of human cultivation civilization. In today's universe, there were still some planes left in the chaos world. P is almost equal to because the laws of heaven were still relatively vague, and the 5 elements and other forces of nature were not distinguished. It was difficult for ordinary gods to survive in the chaos world for a long time. P is almost equal to, however, experts like Zhu Yanjun were not only unaffected, but could also comprehend the origin of heaven and earth from the chaos world by tracing back to the origin of heaven and earth, and cultivate the power of a higher level. P is almost equal to it was obvious that Zhu Yanjun had used her supreme divine ability to move this great desolate world into the blue dome divine realm. Only an expert like Zhu Yanjun had the right to use this great desolate world as a secret realm for cultivation. P is almost equal to relying on a mysterious guiding force. Su Fang flew into the depths of the untainted world. Because there was no way to control the spiritual qi of heaven and earth here, Su Fang activated the world tree and flew across the sky with the power of the world. Its speed was not much slower than flying on the sword. P is almost equal to as he flew, Su Fang tried to sense the primordial world below. P is almost equal to gradually, Su Fang's face revealed a shocked expression. P is almost equal to it turned out that this chaos world was far more complicated than Su Fang had imagined. P is almost equal to in the chaos world, there were not only all kinds of treasures, but also chaos beasts, monsters, and some strange chaos races. P is almost equal to what surprised Su Fang was that there were also humans living on the chaos world below, but they were still in an ignorant state of eating raw meat and drinking blood. There were no countries yet, only the most primitive chaos tribes. P is almost equal to it was extremely difficult for these humans to survive. They fought with nature and the chaos beasts for space to live. P is almost equal to in the human tribes, there were various gods worshipped. Looking at the portraits of these gods, they were either gods or demon gods. Among them, the highest god was Zhu Yanjun. P is almost equal to when Su Fang flew across the sky, some tribes saw him and knelt down to worship him devoutly, treating Su Fang as a high and mighty god. P is almost equal to all these scenes. P and Su Fang's mind rumbled. P is almost equal to, in the minds of the humans in the untainted world is their world, and Zhu Yanjun is the supreme god. They have never imagined that they are just living in a small world, like frogs at the bottom of a well. P is almost equal to, are we gods the same as the humans in the chaos world? The heavenly way we see is just a small world, and the heavenly way we revere is just a powerful existence of the gods? P is almost equal to thinking of this. Su Fang was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. A sense of insignificance arose spontaneously in his heart. P is almost equal to in the eyes of the gods, the humans in the chaos world were just a group of ants, humble and insignificant. P is almost equal to if there was a godlike being, then in their eyes wouldn't the godlike being be the same? P is almost equal to if one day I, Su Fang, set foot on the highest peak of the universe, I will not be a frog at the bottom of the well. I must cross the universe and see what the outside world is like. P is almost equal to Su Fang's eyes were shining, and his heart was full of pride. P is almost equal to under the guidance of the invisible force, Su Fang flew for half a day and finally came to a huge mountain in the center of the chaos world, which was the sacred mountain that the humans in the chaos world worship. P is almost equal to a female practitioner came forward and took Su Fang to the top of the mountain. After passing through layers of fog formations, they came to a palace. P is almost equal to the fourth heaven of the divine emperor realm. P is almost equal to as soon as Su Fang stepped into the hall, Mo Tiangong's surprised voice immediately came out. P is almost equal to he took a closer look. P is almost equal to in the hall, apart from Mo Tiangong, Zhu Yanjun and Xing Wuji were also present. Xing Wuji and Mo Tiangong sat side by side, while Zhu Yanjun stood respectfully to the side. P is almost equal to Su Fang pays his respects to the three seniors. P is almost equal to Su Fang cupped his fists and bowed to the three seniors. P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong's divine light rolled around Su Fang, and he praised, "Extraordinary. You are indeed a great talent. You deserve to be called a peerless genius. In less than 10,000 years, you have jumped from the true immortal realm to the fourth heaven of the divine emperor realm." P is almost equal to Xing Wuji still looked like an old farmer. When he sensed Su Fang's aura, a trace of surprise flashed in his deep eyes, but then he snorted inexplicably, "Only the fourth heaven of the divine emperor realm. On the Hunyuan golden list, you are still at the bottom." P is almost equal to Su Fang couldn't help but smile bitterly. What kind of monster was recorded on the Hunyuan golden list? With his talent and strength, he was still at the bottom. P is almost equal to, "Farmer, don't pour cold water on me. What strength were you at Su Fang's age?" Mo Tiangong sneered at Xing Wuji. P is almost equal to Xing Wuji's old face turned slightly red. Times have changed. The calamity is imminent. No matter how heaven-defying this kid's talent is, he will die in the calamity before he can grow up. What's the use of his talent? P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong and Zhu Yanjun's divine light changed slightly, and then their faces darkened. P is almost equal to seniors. Is the divine child battle held to deal with the catastrophe? P is almost equal to Su Fang asked curiously. The purpose of holding the divine child battle was just a guess. This was a rare opportunity, so Su Fang naturally had to ask carefully. P is almost equal to, you are not qualified to know these things for the time being. It won't be too late to tell you after you win the divine child battle. If you know it too early, it will affect your Taoist heart. P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong shook his head and said. P is almost equal to then he said, the divine child battle is the fortune of all the peerless geniuses, but it is also a great responsibility. You only need to know this. The more outstanding your performance in the Star Domain God-Child competition, the more benefits it will bring to you. P is almost equal to Su Fang said, I understand. P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong rolled out a Xian Guang and said, the divine child weapon I made for you still needs some time to nourish. This is a little thing made from the skin of the ancestral dragon. Take it first. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2009. A magical treasure refined from the skin of the first divine dragon between heaven and earth, the ancestor of all dragons. P is almost equal to Su Fang's eyes suddenly became extremely hot. P is almost equal to originally. He thought that Mo Tiangong's ability to modify his natal artifact was already quite good. But now, it seemed that Emo Tiangong was very concerned about this artifact. It was definitely not a simple modification. P is almost equal to, he didn't expect that Emo Tiangong would refine another magic weapon with the ancestral dragon skin. This was a pleasant surprise. P is almost equal to even an expert like Zhu Yanjun's eyes suddenly flashed with a bright light when she heard that the magic weapon shrouded in the Xian Guang was actually refined from the skin of the ancestral dragon. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong rolled the Xian Guang towards Su Fang. Su Fang's right hand reached into the Xian Guang and grabbed a green divine garment. P is almost equal to rather than calling it a garment, it was better to call it a vest. It was densely covered with a layer of scales the size of copper coins. The green color was suffused with a golden brilliance. On each scale, there were mysterious and incomparably profound natural marks. P is almost equal to an ancient and mysterious vast aura, which contained rich and pure dragon qi, caused the dragon qi in Su Fang's body to roar. The dragon subduing true body automatically emerged from his body with a layer of green scales. P is almost equal to Sheng Wuji inexplicably snorted. Blacksmith, you got such a big piece of the ancestral dragon's skin from this old man, but you only took out a palm-sized piece. You are really stingy. P is almost equal to, how would an old farmer like you know how to refine weapons? P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong snorted at Sheng Wuji's words. P is almost equal to, I saw that Su Fang had the physique of a divine dragon, so I refined the ancestral dragon's skin into this ancestral dragon protective garment for him. It can perfectly fuse with him. If the entire piece of ancestral dragon's skin was refined into a magic weapon, not only would it be difficult for him to completely fuse with it, it might even be possible that the overbearing aura of the ancestral dragon would control his divine body. P is almost equal to endless life did not say anything else. Emo Tiangong's words made sense. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong said to Su Fang, as you possess the divine dragon true body constitution, this ancestral dragon bracer can directly fuse with your divine body as if it is a part of your divine body. With this ancestral dragon armor, even a powerful great realm lord's full power attack wouldn't be able to break through your defense. P is almost equal to, you can defend against the attack of the great world's power. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. He thanked Emo Tiangong again. P is almost equal to, that's not all. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong was very satisfied with Su Fang's attitude. P is almost equal to, the ancestral dragon is the ancestor of all divine dragons in the world. How terrifying is the power of the divine dragon contained in the dragon skin he shed. Given your divine emperor cultivation base, if you use all of it, you'll be turned into ashes in an instant. P is almost equal to, that's why I've sealed most of the divine dragon's power in this ancestral dragon armor. As your cultivation base increases, the seal will be unlocked. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong was indeed a top blacksmith in the universe. He was so thorough in his thinking. P is almost equal to, thank you, master. P is almost equal to Su Fang bowed to express his gratitude. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong waved his hand and said, you've helped me a little. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be qualified to be on the same level as a peerless expert like the farmer. I should be the one thanking you. It's just a magic treasure, it's nothing. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong then reminded him, but this magic treasure has a taboo. You have to be careful. P is almost equal to Su Fang was surprised. Taboo? P is almost equal to endless life smiled. This armor is made from the skin of the divine dragon ancestor. If the dragon clan knows, they'll definitely peel off a layer of your skin. P is almost equal to, P is almost equal to Su Fangdao was shocked. P is almost equal to Emo Tiangong waved his hand and said, as long as you don't show this magic treasure in front of the dragon clan experts, you'll be fine. P is almost equal to only then did Su Fang feel slightly more at ease. P is almost equal to, as for your natal relic. P and AP. When he mentioned Su Fang's natal relic, Mo Tiangong looked proud. P is almost equal to, it's definitely not inferior to a natural relic. Because of this, it needs some time to nurture. In addition, if you use this relic in the Divine Child competition, you'll inevitably be suspected of cheating. So I'll keep it here for now. P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong's words made Su Fang curious about the natal relic. His heart itched. P is almost equal to endless life said in a low voice. No matter how extraordinary a relic is, it's only an external force. Your own strength is the foundation. P is almost equal to Su Fang immediately became alert. Senior, you're right. P is almost equal to after bidding farewell to the three, Su Fang left Zhu Yanjun's secret realm. P is almost equal to in the main hall. P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun asked. It shouldn't be difficult for Su Fang to win the Divine Child competition. Seniors, may I ask if this kid will be able to stand out from the primordial chaos golden list and become the last lucky one? P is almost equal to endless life said. It's difficult. At most, there's a 10% chance. P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun said in surprise. Su Fang is so extraordinary, but there's only a 10% chance? P is almost equal to, those who can be listed on the Chaos Golden List are the peerless geniuses from all the worlds, including the ancient god world. Although Su Fang is extraordinary, he was born in a small world. And those peerless geniuses from the ancient god world, which one of them doesn't have a special bloodline? Which one of them didn't enjoy heaven-defying resources from a young age and cultivate peerless techniques and magical powers? P is almost equal to Zhu Yanjun was silent. One's birth determined one's fate. This was something that no one could change. P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong then sighed. Although it's a supreme fortune to stand out from the Chaos Golden List, the greater the fortune one obtains, the greater the responsibility one has to bear. If Su Fang is eliminated, it might not be a bad thing. P is almost equal to the three talked about the secrets of all the worlds. The main hall fell into silence, and the atmosphere was abnormally oppressive. P is almost equal to Su Fang returned to the peak of the Divine Child Mountain. P is almost equal to at the entrance of the cave, there were more than a dozen uninvited guests. P is almost equal to the Star Billow Realm Lord, esteemed Kuan Su, by Holan, Song Jie, Yuan Yunyu, Kamiko Hoshino, Count Chong, and Ling Xiangmei. P is almost equal to Shinja Tianjun, had publicly threatened the Star Billow Divine Realm to not tolerate Su Fang. At this time, the Star Billow Realm Lord and the others still dared to visit. Although Su Fang knew that they were here because of his talent, the Star Billow Realm Lord and the others still wanted to leave a favor. He was still quite touched. P is almost equal to especially when he saw Count Chong and Ling Xiangmei, Su Fang felt as if he had seen his family. P is almost equal to Ling Xiangmei had used the good fortune Saint Pil Su Fang had given her to break through to the fifth sky of the godly emperor layer. P is almost equal to when Su Fang left the Star Billow Divine Realm. He also left Count Chong with a large amount of resources. Now that he had broken through to the Divine Emperor realm, he was an important expert in Kuan Su's divine sect. He was no longer a slave. P is almost equal to by Holan still looked calm on the surface, but he was incomparably arrogant. When he saw Su Fang, he only nodded slightly. P is almost equal to Song Jie's eyes flashed with a fierce light, full of challenge. P is almost equal to as for the other Kamiko Hoshino, there were those who admired him, but there were also those who were unconvinced. P is almost equal to when the people of the Star Billow Divine Realm saw that Su Fang's cultivation had reached the fourth heavenly layer Divine Emperor Realm, they were all moved. P is almost equal to how high was Su Fang's cultivation when he left the Star Billow Divine Realm? P is almost equal to he was only a ninth heavenly layer celestial god. P is almost equal to now, in less than 10,000 years, he had reached the fourth heavenly layer Divine Emperor realm, a middle Divine Emperor. Such speed of improvement was simply shocking. P is almost equal to Bai Holan, Song Jie, and the other godchildren of the star billow god realm had also improved their cultivation by quite a bit. Bai Holan had already reached the astonishing height of the sixth heaven of the divine emperor realm, an increase of 2 levels. It was obvious that the star billow god realm had spent a lot of effort on them over the years. P is almost equal to, however, compared to Su Fang, the improvement of the divine princes of the Star Lan Divine Palace was nothing, and they were immediately overshadowed. P is almost equal to Su Fang invited the Star Billow Realm Lord and the others into his cave. P is almost equal to, this Lord heard that you stayed in the Godchild Mountain and knew that you were fine, so I came to see you. I won't enter your cave. P is almost equal to the Star Billow Realm Lord said politely, then took out a jade slip and flew it to Su Fang. P is almost equal to, these are the peerless geniuses from the various great realms that you need to pay special attention to in this Star Field God-Child battle. If you need any help, contact this Lord directly. The Star Billow Divine Realm will do its best to help. P is almost equal to the Star Billow Realm Lord nodded, then turned and left the Godchild Mountain. P is almost equal to Su Fang. I am deeply regretful that I didn't have the chance to fight with you in the Star Field God-Child battle. I hope that I will have the chance to fight with you in the Star Field God-Child battle. Don't disappoint me. Song Jie exuded a strong fighting spirit. P is almost equal to Su Fang. You are the #1 godchild of the Star Billow Divine Realm. This young master is convinced, but I still hope to fight with you. In the upcoming Star Field Godchild battle, let's see who gets the highest ranking. P is almost equal to Bai Holan no longer had his usual arrogance. Instead, he treated Su Fang as a real opponent. P is almost equal to before leaving, Bai Holan suddenly said, there are still a few hundred years before the Star Field Godchild battle. On the 8th level of the Green Dome Divine Realm, Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce's God Battle Arena. If you have time, go and take a look. It will be quite beneficial for you. P is almost equal to God Battle Arena? I will go and take a look. P is almost equal to Su Fang raised his eyebrows. P is almost equal to Bai Holan and Kamiko Hoshino followed the Star Billow Realm Lord. However, Uncle Chong and Ling Xiangmei were left behind by Su Fang. P is almost equal to bringing the two into the cave. Uncle Chong and Ling Xiangmei were shocked. When had they ever seen such a cave? P is almost equal to Uncle Chong's side. If only Sovereign Xianling was here, that would be even better. P is almost equal to Ling Xiangmei was also dejected. In their opinion, Xianlingzi had been captured by Lord of Heaven Xinjia. He must have had a slim chance of survival. The possibility of him returning safely was not high. P is almost equal to Uncle Chong and Aunt May want to see Grandpa Xianlingzi? Isn't that easy? P is almost equal to Su Fang chuckled and transmitted a thought. P is almost equal to a moment later. P is almost equal to Xianlingzi's voice came from the palace. Elder Ling Mo Chong, why haven't you come to greet this seat? P is almost equal to Uncle Chong and Ling Xiangmei were shocked. Ling Xiangmei's face was full of shock as she looked at Su Fang. You actually saved the sovereign? P is almost equal to Su Fang said casually. I went to Sanskrit and spent a lot of effort to save Grandpa. P is almost equal to the matter of Sanskrit had already spread to the Star Billow realm. Ling Xiangmei had also heard about it in the Kuan Su divine sect. Thinking of this, Ling Xiangmei was even more shocked. In her heart, Su Fang suddenly became unfathomable. P is almost equal to Uncle Chong, and Ling Xiangmei settled down in the cave. P is almost equal to everyone around Su Fang seized the opportunity and settled into a state of cultivation. P is almost equal to, look at the ancestral dragon armor. P is almost equal to Su Fang took out the ancestral dragon armor with excitement and anticipation. P is almost equal to. Chapter 2010. He peeled off a drop of blood essence, and at the same time urged the dragon chi to seep into the ancestral dragon armor. P is almost equal to his. P is almost equal to the blood essence wrapped in dragon chi, like water seeping into a sponge, disappeared without a trace in an instant. P is almost equal to immediately afterward, the ancestral dragon armor burst out with an astonishing dragon chi, and the Cyan Xian Guang rolled and enveloped Su Fang. P is almost equal to Qi. Qi. P is almost equal to Su Fang's Taoist robe instantly shattered into pieces. P is almost equal to waves of dragon Qi madly drilled into Su Fang's skin, seeped into his flesh and blood, and filled every corner of Su Fang's body. P is almost equal to Su Fang urged the dragon subduing true body, and at the same time, also operated the power of yin and yang to fuse with the dragon chi that seeped into his body. P is almost equal to gradually, Su Fang's body calmed down. P is almost equal to Su Fang's consciousness swept through his body and sensed the ancestral dragon armor that had fused with his body. P is almost equal to with a thought, the ancestral dragon armor was immediately activated, and the surface of his skin, including his face, was covered with a layer of incomparably hard dragon scales, forming a defense that tightly protected his body. P is almost equal to Mo Tiangong's words were true. The defensive ability of the ancestral dragon armor was enough to withstand a full blow from a powerful realm lord. It was several times stronger than the defensive ability of Su Fang when he activated the immortal golden body. P is almost equal to moreover, Su Fang could also sense that the dragon scales still contained an incomparably majestic power, but unfortunately, with Su Fang's current cultivation, it was difficult for him to activate it. P is almost equal to however, the ancestral dragon armor was different from other magic treasures. It was refined from the skin of the ancestral dragon, and Su Fang had the dragon subduing true body, coupled with his perfect body and the power of yin and yang. It was easy for it to fuse with Su Fang's body. P is almost equal to what Su Fang needed to do next was to further fuse with the ancestral dragon armor, and he did not need to master the hand seals to control the magic treasure. P is almost equal to good, really good. This defensive magic treasure really came at the right time. P is almost equal to I have the indestructible golden body, and with this ancestral dragon armor, I have another chance of survival when fighting with the enemy. P is almost equal to back then, when I gave Mo Tiangong some pointers, I didn't expect to gain so much from it. P is almost equal to Su Fang was very happy. P is almost equal to next, it's time to go all out to fight for the position of divine child. P is almost equal to Su Fang began to calm down and ponder over the jade slip sent by the Star Billow Realm Lord. P is almost equal to the jade slip contained detailed records of the famous peerless geniuses of the Blue Dome Divine Realm, including their cultivation, divine abilities, divine artifacts, identities, experiences, and so on. P is almost equal to according to the information, young Master Qin Qiong, one of the top 10 young masters in the Green Dome Starfield, ranked first. P is almost equal to his name was Ao Qiongtian, and he was the disciple of the master of the Blue Dome Starfield. P is almost equal to Ao Qiongtian, had cultivated for less than 10 million years, but he had reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer Divine Emperor realm during the God-Child competition in the Blue Dome Divine World. Almost 10,000 years had passed since then, so his cultivation had definitely reached a new height. P is almost equal to the great Tao that Ao Qiongtian cultivated was the supreme sovereign Tao, and it was extremely domineering. P is almost equal to as for Ao Qiongtian's true strength, no one in the Green Dome Divine Child competition could test his strength. It could be said that he was unfathomable. P is almost equal to according to the information, young Master Tianwu was ranked second in terms of strength. P is almost equal to Su Fang did not know most of the peerless geniuses listed after that, but judging from the strength and battle records described in the information, their strength was extraordinary, and many of them had reached the high-level Divine Emperor realm. P is almost equal to there were also some peerless geniuses who had mastered supreme divine abilities and divine artifact. P is almost equal to Su Fang also saw his name. P is almost equal to according to the information, Su Fang's ranking was in the 7,000th. P is almost equal to this ranking was mainly arranged according to the performance of the various large worlds in the competition for the position of divine child. P is almost equal to Su Fang's performance in the Kimiko Hoshino competition was more about his talent than his true strength. Not many people had seen his true strength, so his ranking was not high. P is almost equal to although he was listed on the Hunyuan Golden List, it only showed that his talent was extraordinary, but it did not represent his true strength. P is almost equal to however, in the Green Dome star field, this ranking was extremely shocking. P is almost equal to it should be known that in the entire Green Dome star field, there were nearly 2 million divine children selected from the various divine realms. P is almost equal to be able to rank in the top 10,000 among more than 2 million geniuses, one could be regarded as a peerless genius in the entire Green Dome star field. P is almost equal to Su Fang conservatively estimated that in terms of true strength, it should not be difficult for him to enter the top 10,000. P is almost equal to Bai Holan and Song Jie were not far from Su Fang's ranking, both within the top 10,000. P is almost equal to, sure enough, it's a gathering of heroes, a gathering of the winds and clouds. However, the stronger the opponent, the more challenging it will be. P is almost equal to Su Fang spent about 10 days to carefully study all the tens of thousands of geniuses in the information. P is almost equal to, let's go take a look at the deity arena of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. I wonder what's so special about it that Bai Holan specially recommended it to me. P is almost equal to there were still a few hundred years before the Battle of the Divine Children in the Green Dome star field began. In the cavern world, it was nearly 2,000 years. P is almost equal to Su Fang was confident that he could raise his cultivation to another level within this period of time. P is almost equal to however, just cultivating in seclusion was not enough. Only by knowing yourself and your enemy can you win 100 battles. Su Fang thought of the deity arena of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce that Bai Holan had mentioned. P is almost equal to Su Fang left the Divine Child Mountain, passed through the array, and arrived at the 8th level of the Green Dome Divine Realm. P is almost equal to upon arriving at Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce, Su Fang took out the purple marked Divine Jade and was immediately treated as a VIP. They specially sent a young and beautiful maid to serve Su Fang. P is almost equal to under the guidance of the maid, Su Fang passed through a spatial array and arrived at a huge array space. P is almost equal to the beautiful maid asked, "Young master, are you here to watch the battle of experts or to participate in the battle of the experts?" P is almost equal to Su Fang asked, "What kind of experts will there be?" P is almost equal to, the deity arena is divided into 3 levels. In the lowest level, the participants are at least in the heavenly god realm. The highest level is at least in the divine emperor realm. P is almost equal to, every 100 years, there will be a battle between experts at the peak of the 9th heaven of the divine emperor realm. Every 1,000 years, there will be a battle between experts at the level of the divine emperor realm. There will even be a battle between experts at the level of the great realm lord. P is almost equal to the maid's words shocked Su Fang. There are great realm lords coming to the deity arena to battle? P is almost equal to then, he asked in astonishment, the strong have their own pride. How can you fight in front of so many people and be watched like a monkey? P is almost equal to, it seems that this is your first time entering the deity arena. Please allow me to explain. P is almost equal to after the beautiful maid's explanation, Su Fang finally understood the deity arena of Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. P is almost equal to there were 3 types of experts entering the deity arena. P is almost equal to the first type were the slave experts controlled by Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. There was no lack of true experts among them. P is almost equal to the second type were experts that Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce paid a high price to invite. P is almost equal to the third type were important figures from powerful forces. They sent experts to participate in the battle to display their strength. At the same time, it was a huge source of income. P is almost equal to since the Star-Field God-Child battle was about to begin, God-children from various great realms would enter the deity arena to battle every day. Firstly, it was to sharpen their battle experience and increase their strength. At the same time, it was also to bring in a large amount of income. P is almost equal to, money makes the world go round. This saying is true. Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce can actually hire experts like Great Realm Lord. They are really rich. P is almost equal to Su Fang's side and let the maid bring him into the low-level deity arena. For this, Su Fang spent the equivalent of a peak low-rank divine artifact, Divine Jade Tong Bao. P is almost equal to just to watch a few battles between heavenly gods and deities. They had to pay such a high price. Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce really knew how to make money. P is almost equal to when Su Fang entered the low-level deity arena, it just so happened that there was a battle between deities. P is almost equal to these were two ninth heavenly god realm deities. At this moment, in Su Fang's eyes, deities of this level were no longer considered experts. P is almost equal to there were so many people watching that the formation space that could hold 100,000 people was almost full. P is almost equal to these two heavenly god realm deities didn't display any remarkable abilities. However, the battle experience they displayed, as well as the ruthlessness and decisiveness they displayed, shocked Su Fang to the core. P is almost equal to in the end. This battle ended with one deity being killed amidst the crazed screams of the audience. P is almost equal to, a battle between deities of this level doesn't mean much to me. Let's go to the high-level deity arena. P is almost equal to Su Fang didn't continue watching and went to the high-level deity arena. P is almost equal to the cost of entering the high-level deity arena made Su Fang's heart ache. It actually required divine jade equivalent to a peak high-rank divine artifact. P is almost equal to unlike the low-level deity arena, the high-level deity arena couldn't hold many spectators, only about 10,000. P is almost equal to on the spectator stands, there was a space created by a formation that isolated the outside world. However, one could see the battle stage clearly, and it looked very noble. P is almost equal to, sir, you have the purple mark divine jade from Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce. You can enjoy a 30% discount if you enter the VIP space to watch the battle. Why don't I bring you to the VIP space? P is almost equal to the beautiful maid accompanying Su Fang was very clever. She recommended the VIP space on the spectator stands to Su Fang. P is almost equal to no need. Just find a place to watch. P is almost equal to Su Fang didn't want to be taken advantage of by Tong Bao Chamber of Commerce for no reason, so he found an empty seat and sat down. P is almost equal to the beautiful maid secretly despised Su Fang, but didn't dare to show it on the surface. P is almost equal to who knew that just as he sat down. P is almost equal to Sir Tianwu's voice transmitted through his Yuan spirit. Brother Su, I didn't expect you to come. Why don't you come and sit? I can introduce you to some of the peerless geniuses of the Azure Dome Divine Realm. Some of them are the top 10 young masters of the Azure Dome Star region. P is almost equal to, thank you, Sir Tianwu. P is almost equal to Su Fang didn't refuse and went to the formation space where Sir Tianwu was. P is almost equal to hundreds of young gods were gathered in the formation space. Each of them had an extraordinary aura, and they were all elites from various divine realms. P is almost equal to Feng Jinhuan, Pei Ran, and Bai Holan were also in the formation space. P is almost equal to Sir Tianwu introduced them. P is almost equal to most of the young geniuses were curious about Su Fang, but of course there were also those who didn't care about him. P is almost equal to. As for Feng Jinhuan, he gnashed his teeth when he saw Su Feng. On the other hand, Pei Ran was evasive, not daring to look Su Feng in the eye. P is almost equal to. Sir Tianwu smiled bitterly at Su Feng. I've lost miserably these past few days. I almost lost the entire small mountain realm. Brother Su, you came at the right time. You have great luck and good foresight. You can help me win back my luck. P is almost equal to. Almost lost the small mountain realm? Su Feng was shocked. P is almost equal to.